right, it's now 6 p.m. I'll call this regular monthly meeting of the Dickinson County Board of Supervisors to order. I would note that all members are present, with Sand Lick Representative Ron Peters appearing electronically pursuant to the new executive order and the rules involving the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. At this point, I will open the meeting with a brief word of prayer. If you all will join our hearts together in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the sunshine you gave us today. We thank you for a new day of life. Dear Lord, I ask a special blessing on each home and family represented here tonight. I ask that your hand be on Miss Peters as she is dealing with her second round of COVID in the Peters household. I ask a special blessing for the Tate family as we all lost Joe Tate, and I ask a special blessing on Mary and her family. Also ask you your hand be over the Hill family and Oakwind families as they deal with tragic circumstances here in Dickinson County. I ask that your hand to be over this meeting and give us all guidance and direction, and in all things be in your name. In Jesus' name, amen. 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 Ron, you want to lead us in the pledge, please?
Got to unmute.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag
to the flag
Of the
of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands,
for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
under God,
with
indivisible,
justice
with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ron. I'll turn the floor over to Mr. Phillips, the parliamentarian and county attorney, and let him explain the rules on our attendance and how the meeting will be governed tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This afternoon, I spent some time with the county administrator, and we had a conference call with Richmond regarding the implementation of the Executive Orders 72 and 73 of the governor. And there were some clarifications that were made today regarding essential services that's provided by local governmental agencies. And in that clarification, based on our prior readings of Executive Order 73 in particular, there were some issues as about how the board was to hold its meeting in regard to the COVID pandemic policies. And it was announced at that meeting that it was the intent of the governor to allow local governments to meet without any restrictions as to numbers of individuals in attendance. That was their intent. In other words, masks are still required by Executive Order 72 and 73. In addition, social distances is required, but now there is no limit on, as we understand it and as was opined today, there's no limit on the number of individuals that can attend any one location except the restrictions and social distancing that has to occur. So this room would limit the number of people that can attend based on social distancing. If there are more than an overflow crowd here, then the county administrator has set up room 228 if the other individuals do show up. That would not accommodate social distancing. But masks are required, social distancing required, but there is no limit on the number of individuals that can attend, except by what limitations your room will place on that. Secondly, you have one board member tonight who wants to participate according to Virginia Code Section 2.23708.1 because of illness in his family. And you have adopted previously a policy to allow all board members to participate by electronic means if they have illness or have or medical conditions that prevent them from attending. Under 2.23708.1, number 2, it indicates if there's a temporary or permanent disability or other medical condition that prevents a member's physical attendance at the public body, that individual, by your policy, can participate remotely and has voting privileges. And as I previously noted, you have a written policy to do so. It only requires a quorum to be present, and you've announced a quorum of 4 people tonight. And also the other requirement of this code section that there has to be voice available, remote participation for all persons in the room to hear, and for you to hear him and this individual to hear the meeting tonight, and so that's available. Your IT department has put in place remote access by your Board of Supervisor, Mr. Peters, and will allow him to participate. What this statute requires that this board vote by motion, by motion and vote to allow him to participate by remote access.
I make a motion that we allow Mr. Peters to participate by remote.
There a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor of allowing Mr. Peters to participate remotely from his home in the Hayside area, please signify by saying aye. Aye as well.
That last thing, Mr. Chairman, to note for the
I
record,
abstain.
by remote, Mr. Peters did submit a letter to you by,
Yes, sir.
according to the policy and statute, requesting the right to participate. Now, Mr. Peters, you have to state for the record where your location is and that you're not in any public location.
I'm in the privacy of my home in a private room in Clicco, Virginia, at 383 Maple Drive. And I'm due to an illness with my wife. We're both in quarantine.
Okay, that was the second thing that you had to state for the record. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, then we'll move on to item number 3, approval of the minutes from our January 26th meeting. Is there any questions or issues with those minutes?
Teresa has corrected what I had called her about, and I make a motion that we approve the minutes at our regular meeting in January the 26th of 2021.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor of approving the minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. Mr.
Aye.
No opposed, the motion carry unanimous. Approval of the agenda. I do see an addendum to the agenda. We'll have an addition. It appears to be 18A on some other business and 24B. The scheduling of the public hearing on our, well, this is relatively new, the data center sales and use tax exemption. Is there any other additions or amendments or alterations to the agenda anyone has?
Mr. Chair, I have a couple of
Yes, sir.
changes. On item number 13, our internet broadband update. Myself and Ms. Willis and Mr. Peters attended remotely today. And with Cumberland Plateau and that information, it's embargoed information that we have to share in closed session. So that'll need to be moved to closed session. We've
Okay.
already got an item on that.
Very good, so,
And that's item 13. And then item 14, social services. I was supposed to have attended their meeting last week, and due to weather, they rescheduled until tomorrow night, so I won't have information to present to the board on item 14 on the emergency fund. We could remove those two.
we'll delete
You can delete 14
Yes.
14,
and move 13 to,
21,
It'll be 21,
B, I guess.
21A12, actually, it'll fall under the
Okay.
agenda item down there.
Anything else, Mr. Barton?
No, that's all I had.
Thank you. Will someone make the motion to approve the agenda with the amendments articulated?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
aye.
Aye as well.
Aye.
Mr. Peters, did you catch all those amendments?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
And then we'll move on to item number
I've got a
5.
hard copy of them.
Move on to item number 5, the county administrator's report. Turn the floor over to Mr. Barton.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, we have an agenda item for county administrator's report. And at this time, we have not received the reports from the treasurer's office. They're still in the process of getting all the accounts reconciled and everything posted up for January, so I don't have the actual report. But I wanted to take a minute while we were here together and let you know, I've been working off the December report that we give and looking at each department, each line item as far as expenditures and everything on revenue, and working on some projections to get us through year end. That's still a work in progress as well. But right now, the biggest factor right now, we're looking at our gas severance, it being down about $450,000 this year on the revenue side. That's our biggest change that we have, so I just want to make you all aware of that. And I am still working on some other items, and I'll have, a better report whenever we report the January and February totals next month, so.
Do you know what our, how far behind we are right now, Larry, roughly?
As far as right now, as far as how far behind we are right now, we're really not right now because of the December
Okay.
tax collections. We're good right now. So everything else is projections between now and the end of the year till we get our collections in June. I'm trying to nail down that number. Right now we're approaching the $1 million mark as far as our shortfall that we're looking at. And I am, trying to nail that down as close as I can. And then I'm also trying to look at things we're doing between now and year end to bring some suggestions back to the board that we might be able to make some operating changes to try to pull that back and get us as close to break even as possible for the year. That's my goal.
Thank you, Mr. Barden. Does anybody have any questions? Is there a motion to approve the county administrator's report?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any further questions or discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well.
Aye.
Move on to item number 6. This was placed on the agenda at my request. Everybody knows that on February the 8th this month, February 8th this year, excuse me, Dickinson County experienced a great tragedy. There was 2 shooting deaths here in the county. And we had 2 of our brave law enforcement officers respond to that shooting. Happened in the Hayside area, ended in the Bartlett section of Dickinson County. And for the first time in many, many years, I've tried to investigate it, and I've asked the Sheriff Fleming, I've asked Mike Stidham, several people that I know in law enforcement, when the last time a Dickinson County officer had actually been fired upon while answering a call, and it's been several decades. It's been a long time. Officer Brent Wallace and Officer Clifton Mullins answered a call that day. I guess when they woke up to their families that morning, they didn't know they were going to their job just like a normal day. Certainly didn't know that by mid-morning they'd be fired upon by a high-powered rifle. But that's certainly where their day went and how it ended, sort of, in tragedy for everybody. However, I feel like our board owes it to these deputies for their bravery and courage. Had they not instituted the traffic stop when they did, I don't know what might have happened. Certainly, it's my opinion that they prevented any further death or harm to any citizens of Dickinson County. And it's my opinion, well, it's fact, that they put their life on the line in defense of Dickinson County. Taking shots from a high-powered rifle at close range is about as scary of a thing as I can ever imagine happening. And those 2 guys right there didn't blink an eye. They answered the call. They done their duty. They showed bravery in a great time of chaos. And I want to commend Sheriff Fleming and Scotty on their department and how they handled that case. It's a tragedy for everybody, and our thoughts and prayers go out to everyone. But I felt it incumbent upon our board to recognize these guys. They have children, the young children, both of them are family men. I work with them every day, and I'm exceptionally proud of them, and I think we should acknowledge them and give them a round of applause for what they've done for Dickinson County. Brent and Clifton, if you'd come up, I'd like to present you both with a certificate of appreciation.
Maybe somebody take a picture.
Brent, I'll do yours first. Congratulations. Thank you very much for your service.
You're very welcome. Thank you very much.
Appreciate y'all very much.
Thank you all.
You guys appreciate your service. Appreciate your service.
Do you all want to say anything else about that.
I
I appreciate them too.
It's a hard job, and every time they go out, they don't know whether they're gonna be shot at or hit or whatever, and I really appreciate you guys. I support the police.
That was a terrible, terrible
Yes.
thing, and, we're lucky to have you all. We'll move on to item number 7, the expenditures. Mr. Barton, is there anything of note there in item number 7?
No, nothing unless anyone has any questions on anything.
If there's no question, I make a motion that we approve all 3 at one time.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of approving the expenditures, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well.
Aye.
Move on to item number 8, roads. I guess I'll start with the Kennedy District. Is there anybody here from the Kennedy District that has a road concern?
I called 4 in yesterday while my baby escaped. Had to put him on hold and go get him.
That's why you're a machine.
But I called him 4 issues. I had some 4 bad ice in the road, you know, where the water's going across. They need to do some ditch cleaning somehow. I don't know if the weather will let them or not. Thank you. I don't have anybody here, I don't think, from Kennedy.
Any road issues for the Clintwood District? Ms. Slush, do you have anything you'd
Well,
like?
one thing the health department, someone called me wanting to see if we could help them with their drive, the county owns that property, the building and the parking lot. Said they would happy to have some patching, if they could get some patching done. They have a problem with water there, which Lehman has addressed somewhat, but they had asked me about that. And
Their
then,
parking lot's always bad.
yeah, their parking lot's bad. Water flows down through there and it washes the gravel off. But they've got, I went by there and looked again, and about 3 good places that need patching. They get a lot of traffic and a lot of people there. And I also talked with Larry about we talked last week about the road to the agricultural center. We're working on that to try to get some money to.
We are.
They definitely need some gravel. He's going to approach the coal and gas
Yeah, we've got some
advisory
options we're
board about,
working on.
and so I'm still concerned, as I'm sure all of us are, about I just wish that we could get them to put a yellow light up at the 4-way, 35 when school's out, or when it's starting. I don't know what it's going to take to get that done, but it's still a very dangerous place.
Chairman, may I,
Yes, sir, please.
Mr. Kendrick could come by the office and ask my legal opinion about whether or not the county can distribute to Ms. Sluss and to that particular road project gravels. And it's my opinion, based on the fact that we own a right-of-way from the main road to the agricultural center, that it's our right-of-way, and that we can appropriate whatever funds and/or gravels that is necessary to meet whatever needs that this board believes necessary.
That's good. That's good, because they hold events there all
They do.
summer, and, I mean, I went up there twice, and you can't hardly, there's no gravel. I mean, it's just dirt road, but they do need gravel. So that's good news. Thank you, Bud.
I would like to mention the slide that's on the hillside, like you're going to Clintwood, close to the old dry cleaning building, where the bank has come off there. There's that huge rock and a lot of dirt and stuff. And with all this freezing and then thawing, more of that slide will come down.
Across from the old dry cleaners, you said?
Well, it's before you get to the dry cleaners, it's on the bank there across the road.
On the right?
Well, if you're coming going Clintwood from here, it'd be on the right, yes.
Okay. I'm like Shelby, I don't know why, I mean, they don't clean out ditches. I mean, it's just about, they've had a couple of slides there, that one across from where the big rock is there still laying, and then they had another one on up the road.
It used to be their summer work, but
I
they
know,
don't
they
have
just
the
don't do
people
it
to
anymore,
do
do
it.
they?
They don't have the people.
I do think they have a new, at the Fremont now, Mr. Gully retired, I believe.
Oh, did he?
I think so, and Jeff Lyle is now, took his place, which
Okay.
Jeff has worked there for a long time. But they don't have, a lot
His
of our,
name's Greg, isn't it?
maybe Greg, that's right, Greg.
I thought, I didn't know a Jeff down.
Yeah, Greg Lyle. But, you know, a lot of our problems would be helped if they clean out ditches, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they just don't have the people to do
Don't have
it.
the people, or if they clean out the ditches, a lot of this flooding wouldn't occur and lose the gravel. It just floods out the gravel, but that's all I've got to say about that. And I
Move
appreciate
on.
that.
Move on to the Irvington District, Ms. Kaiser. Is there anyone here
There
from
ain't
the
no
Irvington
market.
District for the road concern?
Retire, I bet you.
Larry's the only one here from the
Norman
Irvington
Gilroy
District.
had.
You
I
any-
haven't got, huh? Oh, yeah.
You have anything?
I really haven't even gotten any calls from people. I've got more calls for people wanting gravel on their road that, you know, has to have 3 or more residents occupied dwellings on, but I don't know that I've really gotten any complaints for road problems that people's wanting fixed.
Mr. Peters, anybody here from the Sand Lick District with a road concern? Ron, I don't see anybody. If you have anything,
No,
the
I
floor
don't
is yours.
think, but I do have something. Is the sheriff there?
He is?
Yes.
If he can hear, I did get a call today about litter problems on the backside of Rakes Ridge, right before they go in a tunnel. There's a problem in that area. And then also
That's
where
a
Laurel
Virginia.
Branch and, Russell Fork River Road.
The first location Mr. Peters referred to is in Buchanan County.
That's in Buchanan County for the
The second
tunnel.
one we will take care of is this.
He says one of those areas, Ron, if you didn't hear him, was, he believed to be in Buchanan County. And then the other one, he's gonna take care of it.
It could be, because it gets close to the line there.
Where that tunnel
I
is.
got a call, the call came from one person.
Hold on, I'll tell you.
And I remember the house she was talking about, but I'm not exactly sure on the line there because I know that tunnel comes out. This is on the Rakes, Rakes Ridge side of that tunnel.
Jeremy's gonna send Scotty out there to pick it up here in just a few minutes.
Well, okay, they know who to get a hold of. I just hadn't had a chance yet. That's the only reason I brought it up.
Toby Edwards is here from Cumberland Plateau Waste Authority, and he said he would let the litter officer in Buchanan County know, Ron.
No, appreciate that.
All right, anybody here from the Willis District that would like to report a road concern? It's the same old song and dance. There's a lot of potholes, more requests for gravel than there is money. I have used already all of my gravel funds almost, so I've had to reappropriate some capital improvement money over to that, but I'm getting a call at least a week on requests for
I
gravel.
get a call.
Lots of cemetery roads. We've had lots of, unfortunately, have several deaths, I guess, it seems like in the whole county and in my district. So Daryl's been working cemetery roads for me like crazy. And I always want to thank him and thank the guys at the truck shop for all that they do. But I don't see anybody else here for a Willis District road concern. Does anybody have anything else on roads they want to talk about? If not, we'll move on to item 9. Is Mr. Mormons on the phone? Was he going to?
I am.
Okay.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Mr.
Yes.
Go ahead, Mark.
Okay. Thank you again to all the board members for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. I will make it as succinct as possible. If you remember last month, I had given you an update on the progress of the Trammell project. And if you recall, one of the primary gating factors affecting our progress is the shortage of qualified lead certified contractors. And I mentioned then that we'd like, if possible, to host a one-day certification training as a county to get more contractors certified so that they can bid on the project. And I mentioned at the time that I would likely be back to ask you to appropriate funds towards that end. That is really my primary purpose for wanting to appear before you this evening, is specifically to ask you to appropriate those funds to sponsor that class. If you would do that, then we'll go ahead and advertise the class and solicit participation and hopefully get a bunch of guys with the certification under their belt so they can start bidding. To give you an idea, it's a full day class. The cost is $175 per person for up to 10 students. If it's over 10 students, it goes down to $150 per person. I'd like to ask you to appropriate enough for 20 students. We may not get that many, but I'd rather shoot high than shoot low and work towards that number. So that would come to $3,000.
Mr. Barton, what do you think?
Mr. Mormons, this is Larry Barton. I've got a question. I was speaking with Mr. Rakes, our building official, earlier today. Is that something we could perhaps maybe ask DHCD in advance if, maybe if that might be grant eligible, something we could do? And if we could put that in, then perhaps we could go ahead and appropriate some money.
Yeah, so I have this question already outstanding to DHCD, and I have a meeting tomorrow to discuss it among several other things. It may be grant eligible. There are certain strings attached to the lead money that DHCD is currently allocated for rehabilitation of homes with lead-based paint. The biggest challenge with respect to that is there's no guarantee with a grant. I think we could certainly apply for one, but the big outstanding question is whether or not DHCD would reimburse expenses retroactively. And that's the big question that's not clear. If we had a lot more time, I would say I would probably pursue this first and then come to the board to ask to appropriate the money. But the truth of the matter is that we're almost at a standstill on the project unless we can get more guys certified bidding on homes to be rehabbed. And so that's why I'm asking sort of in advance of having a concrete answer for you there.
Right.
Although I would let you know I am researching it. I am trying to get an answer. And I would say, generally speaking, DHCD is positively disposed towards us, but that doesn't guarantee anything.
Right. Mr. Chair, I might recommend that the board go ahead and appropriate $3,000, let him try to apply for the grant, and then, if not, then we'll do the $3,000. That way we can keep this project moving, so.
Well, it certainly tries to further a goal of getting local contractors involved in the project. Does anybody else have any thoughts on it?
Who's the teacher? Who's teaching it?
Chris, will Chris teach it?
No, it won't be Chris. It's a gentleman out of Roanoke who would travel to the county offices, and we would offer the class right there locally. We're essentially trying to eliminate any barriers to a local contractor who wants to get this certification to be able to do so.
Okay.
We would, if we had more than 20 apply, then we would have to prioritize, who we're paying for. But I'd like I said, I want to shoot high and get as many as possible to be there.
I don't believe we'll have 20, do you? We'll be lucky to get 10, I would think.
You'd be very fortunate.
Right. And if you get 10, and that was Chris's sentence.
Go ahead, Ron.
Go ahead, Ron.
Mr. Mormons, Ron has a comment here.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just a question, and I'm not opposed to what Larry just proposed there. We do it, and if we get the money back from a grant, that's great. If we don't, it's covered. But my question I got is there additional costs these guys will have to absorb, like for special equipment or that?
It's a good question, and honestly, I would defer to Chris Rakes to give a more authoritative answer there.
We have to have
But
test for lead. They would have to
is
have
Chris,
some
I mean,
kind of
I have an answer, but is Chris on the line, or is he in attendance?
I don't believe so.
Life's here, but I don't. Does he have a
So
special thing
let me
for
give you
lead?
my less than expert opinion, but it is based upon a fair amount of experience working in lead-based paint environments, that the mitigation of lead-based paint doesn't in general require any special tools other than what a contractor would normally have. It has more to do with how they work, how they prepare their work site to prevent cross-contamination, and how they clean up after themselves with plastic and things like that. The certification is the big issue. It's not real hard, and they would actually take the class and the test and get certified all in the same day. It's a requirement of the state for any contractor who's going to work on a property that's older than 1978.
And this is something they can use obviously beyond this project. I mean, that's something that will help them even beyond the travel project.
I think you can send it
Absolutely.
off to be analyzed, like paint and stuff like that. I know the health department used to do that.
Anybody?
And I asked the question because I would hope we make sure they can do it once they're trained. That's the only reason I asked that. They don't need any other help to do it.
And this
And
will
that's
be,
what
Yeah,
my
the only-
point there.
Right, and the place where special equipment is required is not actually in working with lead-based paint as a contractor doing housing rehab. It's in testing for the presence of lead after rehabilitation is over. But that falls under Chris's purview and something that he'll be doing in conjunction with, with other labs and things by sending samples out. But that's not something a contractor's required to do.
and this will be Dickinson County individuals and business owners only, right?
Well, that's up to you. I would tell you that I would give priority to them, but I'd rather cast a broader net to adjacent counties, but advertise it even as, priority is to Dickinson County residents. And then, if we have more room and there's people from Russell County or elsewhere, I'd hate to turn them away if we've appropriated the funds and there are the seats available.
I don't want to pay for any.
Well,
Buchanan
Buchanan County contractors have come over here and worked for People Incorporated before. And I assume that we would have some bids from Buchanan County contractors.
Yeah, but I don't want to spend our money to license them. I mean, that's my only, and I get it, but if we're going to spend the money, I'd assume it'd be either on Dickinson County contractors or nobody.
Mr. Chairman, couldn't we make that into a motion that we pay for up to $3,000 for Dickinson County
I think so.
contractors?
I think so.
I would make it in a form of a motion that we allow up to $3,000 for Dickinson County contractors to take the lead-based certification test.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion?
Trammell project, right now we got that one contractor, and if we could get, if Mark and them could get, him and Anna and them could get more contractors, we could have one building, one rehabbing one, or possibly two being built, one being rehabbed. But people they just don't have the workers to keep the work going, and everybody in Trammell is wondering, why? When is this gonna get started?
Well,
And we're definitely, COVID has hurt, but this is another factor. Am I correct, Mark?
Yeah, where COVID has hurt us primarily is in the rising cost of building materials. And the disproportionate demand that's come on contractors such that they're more expensive than they have been. We had other contractors bid on some of the work that we initially bid out, but only one of them was able to come even remotely close to the budget constraints that are published under a community development block grant funding. The other two had to bow out because they just couldn't get their prices in line. So I think if we can get some guys who are local to Dickinson County, incentivize them, the work's right there, they don't have to travel far, and now they're certified so they can actually bid, we get them out there working.
Mark, could you get us some kind of, I don't know, some sort of advertising material that we could share on social media or something? I'm not confident enough in knowing the details of what you need from these guys to be able to do that, but
Just
I
need
feel like we need to
contractors.
sort of market this a little bit better.
They have to have a certain
Absolutely.
license.
Well, and my intent, if you just let me know who to work through, and I'm presuming that would be Mr. Barton, but my intent would be to draft up advertising material, some of which could be published on your website, some of which could be published at local, building supply locations, even some at county offices, wherever makes the most sense, for you all to be able to look at, provide feedback, ask questions. We can do all that electronically. And then once everybody agrees that, yep, that's what we want to say, then we can go and get it out there as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I think probably need to do something like that.
May I make a suggestion? Even if a contractor is not a Dickinson County resident, they could take the class as long as they pay their own way.
There you go.
Because
Right.
Absolutely. I mean, we
Yeah.
can open up the
Yeah.
class to whoever wants to come and just pay for Dickinson County. And the benefit there is if contractors come from elsewhere and bump us over that 10 number, it drops the price for the Dickinson County contractors. So it saves us money.
There we go. So we have a motion and second. Any further discussion? And the motion to clarify was to appropriate up to $3,000 for Dickinson County contractors only to be certified pursuant to the contractual requirements of the Trammell Revitalization Project.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, go ahead. I'm sorry, Ron.
Yeah, Peggy seconded.
I just wanted to clarify one point with Mark. There's a limit, or we gotta have a class.
You're breaking up there, Ron. I'm
And the
sorry.
price that you quoted.
A
We have to
limit
have so
to the
many.
class because of COVID, I think is what he said.
So
No, what I was saying is there a minimum class size
Is there a minimum?
Gotcha.
for the price break?
I'd be surprised.
Probably would have
So-
it here.
Yeah, all we received from the folks in Roanoke, and I'll have to clarify, it's a good question, but their last communication to us, which was this morning, was that up to 10 people is this amount, and then over 10 is this amount. I don't know if they have a minimum size, but I imagine they would, given that their instructor would be traveling from that far away. My guess is, if I had to guess, that their minimum class size is going to be somewhere around 5. But I will clarify that. And again, Chris's sense is that he thinks we could get probably 6 to 10 from Dickinson County to attend.
Mr. Chairman, may I address the gentleman's question about
Yes.
COVID restrictions would, if it's held in Dickinson County or any other county in Virginia, the maximum limit is 10 inside of a building. There's no exception other than local government.
They could
And-
do 10 here easily.
So
couldn't
10
they?
mark is the only, under the Executive Order 72 and 73, and we were online today listening to some changes coming forward in March 1st, but those restrictions as 10 inside of a building is all that you can get in the building under the governor's executive order.
Is there anything else?
Gotcha. So
Go ahead.
well,
Mark.
I'm just going to say this as a comment. I will then pursue whether or not it would be possible if perchance we were to have an interest greater than 10, could others participate virtually, if from another facility.
Or they could
And
participate.
I know
That's correct, you could. You could have, if it was out here in Dickinson County, you could have 10, and your IT people could set up the remote location from 10 in one room, 10 in another. They could do that for you, I believe, if you did it here at the IT center.
Okay.
The other reason I was asking the question was if we fall short of 10, do we need to maybe widen Larry's ability to then extend it to 10, even if the person's not in our county? If it's cost effective, I'm not too keen on, I agree with us trying to focus on Dickinson County people, but if it's beneficial, give him the negotiating power on that based on the number of people that respond to the net we cast.
Well, I think Ms. Willis's motion at this point on the floor is to just pay for Dickinson County contractors only. I don't know if you want to
But
make,
others could come.
But they would have to pay
They
for
have
it.
to pay for it.
so what are you
Peggy
suggesting?
seconded.
Well, and if I
Well,
could
I'm
make
just
another
saying that
comment.
Mark,
I feel like we're making
Go
this
ahead.
probably more complicated than it
Yeah,
needs to be.
sorry.
Go ahead, Mark.
Well, and Yeah, my only comment was there is a benefit even to local contractors who have to pay their own way in that right now, for them to get this training, they have to travel to Roanoke.
Absolutely right,
And
that's
what we're
right.
doing is essentially putting it in their backyard. $150 is nothing compared to the work it opens up to them to be able to do if someone had to pay their own way. So, you know, I feel like we can cast a broader net, but we can incentivize specifically those in Dickinson County that, you know, we're going to host it in Dickinson County and we're going to pay for Dickinson County contractors. But if you're outside Dickinson County but would like to come and sit in, as long as we don't exceed the allowable limit under the COVID restrictions, then we'd love to have you.
That's correct.
Sounds good.
That's good.
Ron, I didn't mean to cut you off there. Is there anything else?
Good with it. I'm good with it.
All right, we have a motion and second. All those in favor of Ms. Willis's motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well.
Aye.
Unanimous, Ms. Clerk. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Do you have anything else?
Is there anything else, Mark?
That's it for now. Thanks
Okay.
so much for your continued support.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah.
Move on to item 10. I know Ms. Culberson had called in and asked to be placed on the agenda last month. Is she gonna call in? Is anybody? I don't see her here, so we'll pass that. If she shows up, we will certainly give her the opportunity to speak. Now, Ms. Rates, item 11.
Pass it all around. Wanted to give y'all a copy in case you had any question about what I had to say. Of course, my name's Angela Rakes, Treasurer of Dixon County. Ladies and gentlemen of the board and to the citizens of the county, I want to address you this evening concerning a vacancy in my office. When I ran for office in 2015, I only wanted the betterment of our county, as I still do. I feel that with the hiring freeze that has been placed on my office, that I am being restricted on how to do just that. I currently have 3 full-time positions, although 4 full-time positions are and already approved in my budget with $9,231.92 remaining. My office has been available and open to the public, with the exception when the Ed Center was closed down since day one. 2 of my staff never even got a vacation last year because of this vacancy. When one person is off, or in this case gone, everyone has to pick up the slack. Now I want to educate you on some of the things we do in our office. I have one position that strictly does accounting. The package that you normally have in front of you every month sometimes takes all month for us to get balance to be able to hand to you. We have to enter every check within the county every month, including the general county, 911, Cole Road, CARES Act, Behavioral Health, DSS, and the schools, totaling around 3,500 checks. Then we have to reconcile and clear them out monthly. Every single one of those departments has to be balanced perfectly with us. I have one position that works entirely on land sales. This includes sending multiple letters, coding each record, and sending and updating each record weekly with tax. A weekly payment is sent to us, and this also has to be processed. In the last year, we collected $1,519,719 in delinquent taxes and $1,782 just in land sales. I also have 2 people designated to do DMV stops and releases. In the last year, we have placed 1,321 stops, which means all personal property taxes have to be paid in order for people to renew the restoration. We have been doing this since 1993, and it is our greatest collection tool for personal property. It has brought in $264,000 for the 2020 fiscal year for 814 stops released so far. In 2020, we mailed out 7,700 delinquent statements, and we collected $420,580.48 in personal property, $575,267.44 in real estate taxes. This means just for delinquent collections alone, we have brought in $2,779,566.92. All the while doing all of these delinquent collections, we are also billing and collecting current year taxes, which we have collected $6,974,701.33 in real estate, $2,263,886.76 in personal property taxes for the taxable year 2020. We have also just finished mailing 5,557 delinquent statements. Also, the law allows us to charge an administrative fee of $25 per account per year on each tax file sent, and also for DMV stops. This money would be for our budget and could alone fund this position. I'm going to have an attorney from tax speak to you on this soon. Also, if we do not have the percentages for collection for the State Compensation Board, which is 90% of personal property and 95% of real estate, we will lose our office accreditation. Our office has accomplished this since 2012. Myself and my 3 current deputies are all certified in the Career Development Program, which also takes time to maintain. The limitations of this position and the current freeze on the hiring has limited our office to only 2 cashiers. It is the recommendation of the auditors that myself or Stephanie not be a cashier. If I do not have the staff to do these delinquent collections, they will not get done. This is not a threat, this is just the facts. If a $20,800 a year position is worth us not collecting millions in delinquent taxes, we will be forced to stop doing some of these collection methods. It is only logical if we are unable to bring in the collections at some point, taxes will have to be raised because we will only be able to collect the current year taxes only. And when there are more layoffs because we cannot physically collect delinquent taxes, I do not want this falling back on my office. I am trying and doing all I can. I want the citizens to know that I am here for you and trying to get you to see why this position is so desperately needed in my office. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Anybody have any questions or comments?
My comment is that she has made Mr. Chairman, my comment is that she has made a wonderful statement here, and she's collecting the money. Without this, we'd be up a creek. So I think this position is already funded till June, right?
That's correct. Well, till the end of June.
Till the end of June.
Yes.
None of us knows what July's going to hold, but I think we go ahead and give her the authority. I make a motion that we go ahead and give her the right and authority to hire that extra person.
Ron, did you have something? You're breaking up on us.
I motion.
Wonder
I
why
think
he's
he-
breaking up.
Yeah, I believe it's.
Ron, did you did you second the motion, Ron?
I did, I second it. I second.
So I'd just ask, do you agree with Mr. Barton's assessment that we're $1 million behind, or projected to be $1 million behind?
It's not that I don't disagree, but what I'm saying is if we can't collect these taxes, we're going to be even farther in the hole than we already projected to be.
And is it true that I know the salary for the position's $20,800, but doesn't that equate to that's $57,500 with salary and benefits? Is that true?
I'm sure that's true.
Okay.
But it still doesn't compare to the millions of dollars that we won't be able to collect.
So you're saying that this person that we pay $20,800 a year to collects how many millions in revenue for us each year?
I'm saying if we have to take the slack, we're not going to be able to do all these extra delinquent collections that we do. We'll be lucky to collect the current taxes.
So assuming that Mr. Barton's projections are accurate and the county's going to be facing $1 million shortfall come June, so are you going to hire somebody potentially for 3 months on the contingency plan? I mean, is that,
I would hope to be able to keep it because what I did in the taxes last year.
I guess what my frustration a little bit is, this was never intended to, Ron, can you mute your thing, please?
Oh, yeah, I will. Sorry. I've muted it.
This was never targeted at any one particular office or officer or elected person. The point of this is have a CPA, and we had a prior accountant basically telling us that we're looking by the end of fiscal year 2021 at $1 million budget shortfall. I understand that your collection window in December is over, and you can certainly correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the springtime is generally a slow time for that particular office, and I'll allow you to correct me if I'm wrong on that. But as an elected constitutional officer in a county that's $1 million behind, a sheriff's office that has many needs, a school budget that has many needs, I would just like a little bit of cooperation and say, okay, board, I'll help you out for 3 or 4 months, at least to let you evaluate your fiscal position by the end of the year. This wasn't a target at you or your office. It just so happened there was a vacancy. We're facing $1 million shortfall, and this is a way for the county to save even $25,000.
First of all, we never have a slow time, ever. When we're not collecting current taxes, we are doing these delinquent collections, and it shows. You cut off the hand that feeds you, it's going to really hurt this county.
Well, I just want to say, I have talked to Larry. I don't come over here very often, but I've talked to Larry personally on the phone, and we are facing a deficit, but he's working very hard, and something constantly, not just you, you're within your budget as I understand it. So, all the constitutional offices need to make an effort to know that we are facing a deficit, so try to be as frugal as possible. But I don't think this is the place, some places, hills are worth dying on. I don't think this office is doing a great thing by collecting our taxes and our revenue, and without that, we're be in worse shape than what we're going $1 million. But I'm hoping with Mr. Barton's ability, and maybe he can put a rabbit out of a hat, but I'm hoping that we can close that $1 million deficit, and I just ask that all constitutional officers make an effort to be frugal as much as possible, and I think you do, Angie. And I'm certainly, you have been open during all this COVID pandemic, unlike some offices that have not been open. You and all of you are working, and so I definitely think she should be allowed to keep this extra person. It's not a hill to die on.
Well, where do you suggest we make up the $1 million then?
Well, I've talked to Mr. Barton, and he
Well, what's your suggestion? What have y'all
Well,
come up
we're
with?
talking about it. I
What are you
can't
talking
say.
about?
We talked about which ones were in, were over their budget.
Well, which ones are over their budget?
I'm not, well, we talked privately, and
So I
I'm
guess
not
what I'm
gonna call
asking is,
out
where is the $1
names.
million gonna come from?
It'll come.
Okay.
We've always, I mean, I'm not gonna promise you it's going to come, but there's some things coming down the pike with the school system even that, they might not need as much money as we thought they might need, Josh, because the we're hoping that he's going to help us during this. I know we can't rely on everybody from Richmond helping us, I know that. But I do think that, this is not a place to cut, because she's made the case, they collect what keeps us going. And we don't want to get instead of $1 million being $1 million and 300,000 in debt. And I think by June, and I'm hoping and praying by June, that Mr. Barton, with his knowledge and that we will be able to come in line and cut this $1 million deficit down. Now, I'm not saying that something might not have to be cut. Yes.
Well, then what is that?
I'm not going to say that right now. I don't know that. You don't know that.
But doesn't it help to save every penny we can
You
until that
It
time?
certainly does. I live under a budget myself. But I know when to cut, what to cut and what not to cut, and I'm not gonna cut the person that's feeding us the money.
Ms. Rakes, you're obviously intimately familiar. You write every check the county disperses. Where do you suggest we cut?
Well, are we talking about this prematurely?
That's not my place to tell you that. I'm just telling you that if I don't have the staff that I need to collect these taxes, you're gonna be in a lot worse shape than what you think you are.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, go ahead.
yeah, this is Ron. We're getting ready to start the workshops. And we may find that we have to do things like this, but we should evaluate all of those cases and pick where the pain's the least as far as what services will be taken away. We just approved giving $3,000 to give a certification to contractors to increase their business, and I think we're good with that. But we're going out and doing that to help businesses be able to qualify for contracts. That, when we get into workshops, we'll look for these places where we think we should cut, and we should also approach it from the standpoint that we evaluate what services are they gonna have to give up if we cut that position.
So I guess,
And-
so are all options on the table according, this is your fifth budget, this is my first one, so I'm certainly, I'll let you educate me, Ron and Shelby, if you want to. So is it easier to, if you cut a position to, do that via attrition or actually laying somebody off with a pink slip? What would you rather do?
Well, by attrition, I would say that you're picking whoever was unlucky to be the first one to lose an employee.
Well, how are you gonna
We
pick
need
it
to
then?
look at the facts. We gotta evaluate each situation. If it comes to it, we gotta evaluate it and look at what services, give them the opportunity to tell us what services they're gonna give up. And is that crucial to our continuing operation? That way we're doing a fact-finding thing that comes to the right solution.
Well, like I said, it's, I know Miss Rakes is doing her job. I don't blame her one bit for fighting for her office. I understand it, but this was nothing to do with that particular office. This is $1 million shortfall. It's February, whatever the date is, 23rd. We're 90 days away from having to have a budget in place with our CPA county administrator saying you've got $1 million shortfall. And not one idea from either of anybody that spoke to cut anything.
Well, that's the reason we're having the workshops. We're gonna have
Well, what ideas are you gonna present at the workshop?
Well, you're talking prematurely because we don't know, like when we get the workshops, we'll be able to see what these people are asking and what we have to, there's some county things, I mean, I worked under budgets and threatened to be laid off when I worked at the health department because the board of supervisors cut our budget. And usually the one that went was the person who had the less seniority or whatever, but we had to cut our, how we serve the county. And we always came before the board of supervisors and presented what she just did, what we do and what we needed, how we need it. I got an extra second person to help me because I was so far behind in my work. I couldn't get to do septic tank permits because I didn't have anybody to help me. So the board of supervisors hired another person to help me, which helped tremendously. I think.
Hey, I would like to.
Just a minute, Ron, I'll let you speak.
I'm sorry.
I think that we are I'm not saying that we won't have to cut something come July the 1st, but this is not the place to cut it.
Go ahead, Ron.
Okay, the other thing I wanted to point out, even last month and again tonight, we pointed out that it was worse, and thankfully to this office's collections, it's not as bad as it was. So we did do some makeup. We all admitted that. So I think we should get into the workshop because there may be other less crucial positions. If it comes to it, we may have to look at cutting, and we just have to evaluate it. But we need to do it based on facts. I mean, in 2016, when the taxes were really bad, we earmarked 12, I think it was 12 positions and told those people they could potentially get laid off. In the end, all we did was we got rid of one slot and kind of merged that position.
Okay, we have a motion.
That's all, I think workshop.
We have a motion and second. Is there any further discussion? Ms. Willis, how do you vote on Ms. Sluss's motion?
No.
Ms. Sluss?
Yes.
Ms. Kaiser?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yeah.
No for me, so the motion would carry 3-2. We'll move on to item 12, public comment. And I said, we're going to allow phone comments, correct? So if you're watching the meeting and you have a telephonic comment, you can call 276-333-0357. And then the floor is open now if anybody would like to make a comment.
Ron,
Mr. Chairman, this is Ron. I've got a comment. I just wanted to let you guys know I'm having to listen in and talk over the phone.
All right, I'll try to
Because it
be,
just kept dropping out.
is there a number you're giving
Yeah.
out now?
yeah, just,
Actually, you sound better over
yeah,
the
you sound
phone.
better, I agree. But the phone number is 276-333-0357. And there's a gentleman here that has public comment, I think.
Looks like Ron.
Ron Phillips, I believe.
I use gentleman
Is
loosely.
that you,
Very
Ron?
loosely.
How you, Ron?
Thank you all for having me for a brief time. I've got some handouts here that some of you have seen multiple times. Repetitions of what I've had in the past. I'm basically here to,
Is repetitious a word?
Redundant is the one. Repetition.
probably not.
It is a
Thank
word,
you.
Ron.
Yes, it is. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and board members, and county administrator, county attorney, and Ms. Lyle. Today, I'm here briefly just to talk about a letter received by the chairman of the Board of Supervisors from the town of Clintwood asking an increase of the town's allocation from the current 10%, which was given to them in 2019, to 20%. What I hoped to tell y'all briefly is that the PSA has grown tremendously through your coal severance that y'all have generously allocated to our organization. And I'd like to read a quick statement that kind of illustrates some of the things that we've done and how we've got to where we are. The Dixon County Public Service Authority Board hereby requests the Dixon County Board of Supervisors seriously consider not increasing the coal and gas severance funding to the town of Clintwood from the current 10% to the requested 20%, as stated in a letter from Mayor Baker. As illustrated in the handouts, the Dixon County PSA has grown exponentially since their inception. I remember approaching previous boards of supervisors for a yearly allocation. Your attorney and past delegate Bud Phillips had a vision to capture severance funds to allocate the co-producing counties to provide potable, safe drinking water to Ridgetop's communities to enhance their quality of life. We owe a tremendous amount of gratitude to Attorney Bud Phillips for his tireless efforts
Yes, we
We
do.
sure do.
to provide Dixon County a great place to live. In order to continue to grow and prosper and maintain our services to our beloved Dixon County, we encourage this board to seriously consider not making a reduction to our current severance allocation. I would like to say, as you've heard tonight, budget deficits, shortcomings, the coal severance, as you know, is down. So far this year, we have gotten $230,000 through January. Last year, we got $540,000, and particularly the members here that have been around and the ones that are just come here, you know how critical that is to keep the services that we've been accustomed to providing for years and years to all of Dixon County, not just to a region, not to just a district. We cover all 5 districts. And I heard Peggy talking about some stuff in Trammell and with Mr. Mormons, and we were actually meeting with Anna Mead up there on Friday to provide a hookup to some residents who chose not to get the service when we installed the Trammell Water and Sewer Project, which was our first project. Well, as time passed, their system failed, and now they have gone to People Incorporated, and they're gonna get that funding through People Incorporated to provide them public sewer. And time in, time out, I can give you so many instances that we go above and beyond to try to help everyone, not just any one district, but I think it's represented in all those projects there, how much local money we put back into the project, and particularly how much debt we've taken to get to that point. I think we have been extremely good stewards with the public's money. I think we've been excellent ambassadors for our county. And I would just like for you all to do some serious consideration, and I know you just listened to conversations tonight, you've got a dying task. And we would like to express our gratitude to not only this board, but to past boards for their support to us. And we want to continue to provide
Did you pass those
services
down?
that we've provided for over 3 decades.
I was wondering what he's talking about, that too.
I guess, and I know you talked around a little bit, and I don't have
didn't know
Mayor's
she had
letter in front of
passed
me,
them.
but I'm familiar with what you're talking about. I didn't, so will it actually result in a takeaway from your all?
Yes, it is.
How much would?
How much? Because I just didn't interpret it that way, for whatever reason.
Well,
If you
it's already
look at
taken 10.
Last year's
10 what?
allocation,
10,000?
10% would have been
You get-
$54,000. If you take that to 20%, using last, it would be 108.
So, right, and that's where I maybe was confused, and because of Corona and everything else,
Right.
we've only had 2 co-road meetings in a
Right.
year.
I think you'd mentioned that.
So all of your percentage and the town's percentage come from the same pot of money.
Correct.
So, right, so if you bump their percentage up, then that takes, even though you've got the same percentage,
Right.
it takes your take home down.
Correct.
That was my own naivete there. So I get it, what you're saying now.
Well, how much does the town of Clintwood get? 10?
10%,
We
and that
voted
was
for
done
10,
in
and they said that
2019.
was it. That was all we was gonna ask
When we
for.
met with, Rhonda, when we met with the town and the previous county administrator
And the
and some
previous
of our
board.
board, Shelby's been with us.
2 times
I felt like when we left that room, that discussion would end. That we could live with the 10%, even with the current funding. The town had earmarked that money for the Red Onion Water Project, which they had ductile iron going up the mountain. It started to pit. So that was the reasoning of partially, I guess, the reasoning that they requested the 10%. Then they were fortunate enough to get a BC loan to basically pay for that entire project. And the loan was later converted to a grant.
They didn't pay nothing.
And so they really, you know,
Didn't
did
pay
very
nothing.
well on that particular water project. So, you know, again, I know y'all have so many considerations to make, and it sounds like that it's gonna be a challenge for you. And one of the greatest highlights of my life, professional life, was when we cut the cord from the county as far as having to come, just like we've seen people that have to have your support. We're relatively self-sufficient, other than the coal severance. You know, with our revenues that we get through hookups, monthly service fees, we do pretty well. But I think any decrease in funding over a elongated period we would probably at some juncture be back up here on your list of budget concerns, and that's not where we want to be.
Is that a Coal Road Committee decision on that percentage, or is that our?
It's state, isn't it? In the Code of Virginia, I believe.
No, but I'm saying if we were to increase it, just whatever, increase the town or decrease you or increase you, that's a Coal Road Committee decision, or is that the Board of Supervisors?
Board of Supervisors, totally. Board of
Okay,
So,
and how much was your
Mr.
appropriation? Yes, Ron, just one second. How much was the appropriation
Yeah,
last year from the,
540,000.
okay. So how much was the
This year,
total?
as of today, we've received about 230, so we're gonna be off of the 540 unless something,
What was the total pot that percentage was from, though? Was it, I guess, over a
you have to
million?
do like a 1/2 of 1%
Yeah, okay.
of the total funding.
Go ahead, Ron.
Okay, just to give you a history on this, if my understanding is we give a percentage to them, and then the town gets 10% of that. And that was something we did, because the mayor was persistent. And like Ron thought, I thought this would be a dead issue, but here's the thing. We know coal severance is gonna dwindle over time, and you need to ask yourself, what are we gonna do? Because water is life here, and everyone has to have it because the springs and all that are deteriorated and stuff like that. There's problems. So over time, this is going to become problematic because we still have to sustain these. Now, one of the issues is, Ron Phillips is right when he states it was part of that red onion, but I also heard him come in with an argument for Baker Ridge, and I wonder if they ever did anything there. But the thing is,
No,
no,
You need to ask-
their water line needs replacing.
Go ahead, Ron.
yeah, but anyways, I'm just talking about what happened in the past. The thing you need to realize is our citizens in the county are paying roughly $20 for 1,500 gallons of water. The town has refused to raise the rate on its citizens, and they're like $1,200 or $12 for 2,000 gallons. So they get more water and for less money. And we just got to be careful. You know, I was okay with the 10% because they should get something. But you got to understand that probably the one cash place that would have been good for the county to own is that prison, because that's in the county's jurisdiction, because they did raise the rate on that. They're making money
Wise
off
County.
the
It's in
prison.
Wise
out.
It's
County.
Wise County.
Yeah, but I guess what he's saying.
Half and
We
half.
provide them with
The
water.
town provides water, I think.
The town provides them with water and sewer now.
So I guess
no, we do the sewer, don't we?
this decision will be made in our upcoming
We do
budget,
the new sewer.
right? I mean, we're not gonna make this decision tonight.
That's your decision, Mr. Chairman.
Well, I'd
But I
like
mean,
to,
are those rates, percentages are set annually, right? I mean, when is it?
Ironically, they've never been, we didn't have a percentage until 2019, when they had these specific needs, which was the red onion, and he's right, Baker Ridge was mentioned in that. And
Yeah. Well, I know that in his letter, his correspondence, that specific project was mentioned, and obviously that's
well,
a,
they don't have a large enough line to provide fire hydrants out there
Correct.
on Baker Ridge, which,
They're not going to get enough money from this to do anything with Baker Ridge. They can't even do a study with what money they would get from this.
Mr. Chairman, can I have the privilege of speaking?
please, yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, when the good people of Dickinson County elected me as their delegate, one of the things that I promised them that I'd work fervently on is to provide an opportunity for every citizen in this county to have fresh, potable water to their homes. A lot of people thought I was crazy when I made that promise, but I knew that I needed to work hard to do a lot of different things to make it happen. When I took office, there was about 30% of the county had water. With the help of the PSA, the changes we made in state law, and all the federal funding and state funding that we were able to put together, Ron and his staff, particularly Lehman, was able to parlay what funds that they would get through the coal severance. That legislation I did introduce to allow us to use to put potable water into homes. That was probably one of the biggest things that allowed Ron and Lehman to go after state and federal money. They had that money available for match money. I'll never forget when we started talking to, I was the PSA attorney as well at the same time, started talking to the federal and state agencies. They came in and did a study to see what the reserves funds were. They came in to look at what the rate structure was. And the federal and state authorities basically came forward and said, your rates won't sustain you. Your rates are too low. You need to look at the increasing rates over time to support, and nobody likes to pay water bills, but water is such an essential service that if for Dickinson County to live, to sustain itself, and to grow and prosper, to some extent, we had to have potable water. And I'll never forget when we met with them, they looked at Ron, they looked at me, and they looked at Lehman. And they said, if you want federal money and if you want state money, you're going to have to increase your water rates to what would be an appropriate level for your system. There a lot of debate went into that. A lot of decision went into that. But one of the best decisions that PSA board did was to increase their rates to allow them to access the federal and state monies along with the coal severance tax money that they got. And the rest is history. Ron's done a marvelous job down there managing that system and the water. And so we're about 95%. Anybody who we can get water to, I think, is probably there in the county. Now, what I'm going to say is going to be controversial to some people in this in the town of Clintwood, and I say that with all due respect to the mayor, all due respect to the town council, and all due respect to the citizens of the town. The town could get federal and state grant monies if they would look at their rate structure and make the rate structure for their water billing commensurate with what other towns have in order to sustain the system. My understanding is, and they can correct me if I'm wrong, is that the town cannot qualify for federal or state grants, can't go out for them because their water rates, water structure isn't what the federal and state agencies require. And I don't say that mean-spirited. I don't say that in any way as a slam on the town or town council. But if the town is really serious about getting after water projects, improving water, then they need to look at their whole system to see what is available, what they can qualify, and how they can attract state and local funds to the town. And I said, I don't mean that in any way as derogatory, but I think the town has extended water services out to our county citizens, and we've tried to help. I think Ron has helped to do that. But in my opinion, there's no way, and many years of helping the water project, that they can take care of their water systems, the town, and do it on a low water rate in town. And I know that some people have pledged that water rates will never be increased in town. Well, that's the town's prerogative. That's their prerogative if they don't want to increase it. But on the other hand, they have to understand if they don't equalize their rates with other towns, other localities, other jurisdictions, then they're not going to qualify for federal state money. Now, I'd have to defer to Ms. Shelby. She's been on this board a long, long time. She's been on PSA's a long, long time. And I don't know what her comments would be, but I'd like to hear her comments about that.
My comment has been the same, even when we gave them the 10, is they need to raise their rates till they can borrow money, because they can't do any project with what they're getting from coal severance. They can't do any project. They can't even do a study. Am I correct? They probably couldn't even do a study with what money they would get from PSA.
Well, as a
I mean,
town
from-
citizen, I'm against water rate increase.
I understand, Mr. Chairman. As a reason, I was very careful.
In defense of them, in their situation, and Ron, I know, is mindful of this, but what is difficult, I think, and just, this is speculating without knowing, but they have their sewer customers. So if a water customer pays a $50 bill, they've also got a $50 sewer bill. And so, and I understand everything you said, Mr. Phillips, and I agree with all of it, but that politically and speaking, that complicates it for them, some, I think, because if they have a water rate increase, then they don't necessarily have to have a sewer rate increase, but it's
It's based on what your water rate's, but your sewer rate's based on your water rate. I guess it
But
that.
But you still have to sustain enough money to be able to borrow from rural
no, I
development.
get that point. I guess what I'm saying is for them to raise their water rate, it's not just that easy, I don't think, when you know.
We
they have
did
trash.
ours in a 3-year step.
Yeah, but you're not providing sewer like they are.
Mr. Chairman, there's ways to
Okay.
adjust those rates.
Yes, sir. And I'm just talking out loud. I'm not.
Well,
Go ahead, Ron. Go ahead, Ron.
Mr. Chairman, I got a comment, and I thank Mr. Phillips, because that was the part I forgot to mention. When we went out to Richmond, the first year I was in office, that was exactly what Waterworks talked to us about, that it was important that we charge a fair market rate for the water and increase it over time. Now, on the sewer question, all I can tell you is all across the Commonwealth, that's how sewer works. They base the cost for treating it on the amount of water you
Yeah, what I'm saying is, yeah, go ahead, Ron. I'm sorry.
But that's a part of living in a town, because there is no way you can effectively have septic systems when you've got so many houses together. And that's generally, there's pluses for living in town. In this case, it's a negative because they gotta have sewer too.
Did you all, I know Shelby's, did you receive the mayor's letter? I know you did, I guess, Rhonda.
I've never seen it.
I never seen it.
This is the first I've heard of it, except Mr. Baker did
So
mention it
this
to
is
me.
probably a little bit premature anyway,
In a
but it's
private
good. We need to have this
conversation, he
conversation.
mentioned it to me. What I want to understand here, do you provide services to Osprey's Gap?
Yeah, there's water in Osborne Gap.
I know there's water there, but I
Well,
thought that town
ours.
of Clintwood provided that.
They stop at Camp Creek and we pick up Osborne Gap. That was a self-help
Okay,
project.
let me ask you another question or two that I have. I know you used to do a lot of projects. It seems like you've come to a standstill on any kind of projects in the last,
We
let's
basically
say.
got everybody that it's feasible
Well,
to
I
do.
understand that. You replaced my water line, and I get PSA water, and I'm thankful. I don't, my bill, I think's wonderful. If I didn't have it, I wouldn't have water. That's just the fact. So, it's very reasonable, your rate is, I think. And so, what I'm trying to understand, this is the first I've heard of it, you know what I'm saying? And I represent the town, the Clintwood District. So this is very important to me. And I understand what you're getting, but I need some time to do a little bit of research and ask some more questions before I make a vote on it.
Well, I think it's not even probably in our,
They can't even.
given that two of our members haven't even
I've
seen the
never
letter.
seen it, the letter.
It's
It
not
was
something.
not addressed to me as well, and I was given a copy, and then I think I approached your chairman about if he'd seen it, and he said roughly, that he looked over it, but not really
He
in
didn't.
depth.
Yeah, it was in
Have you
maybe
seen it, Larry?
I have.
I have not seen it.
mid-January maybe is when the
Yeah.
date, something like that. But what I'll do, I'm gonna shoot Judy Steele an email right now and have her resend it, and we'll get it out. But I guess just to make you feel better, this ain't even in our atmosphere right now.
When do
frankly.
we have to make this decision?
So you don't have to do it, I mean, that's totally up to
It's
the
not, that's
board.
my
You don't-
point right now. It's not before us.
It's a request from the town,
Yeah.
whether it's, depending on how long.
They wanna
how
go
much
20 and you
this-
wanna stay at 10, right?
Right.
And wonder what their logic is, why they want more money. I know what they want money.
Well,
In the
this
letter,
letter-
I wish the heck I could have brought you a copy, and I
Yeah, I'm gonna get
apologize.
one.
But it mentioned about 3 projects, and Shelby's right, Baker Ridge,
Bakery,
and,
Wolf bin.
Wolf Pen, and one other.
Flemingtown.
Yes. And again, that amount of money that you're talking about, even when coal severance was good, would not touch
Either
any
Any of those
Either one of them.
projects.
You will
No,
not
ma'am.
touch them.
I mean,
And
you're
what
gonna
is-
have to incur some debt, you're gonna have to adjust rates to
And
solicit
borrow money
the
if
rural
he wants to do
development,
anything.
the Office of Drinking Water, Virginia Department of Health, AML, all the people that we've used.
well, I know you've done a lot in the past. I know that. You don't have the equipment you used to have, do you?
Got more.
Got more.
You got more? Where's it at? I don't see
It's
it.
all
Yeah.
down at the
Oh, man.
PSA, I don't see
got
anybody
all
out
this
working the roads much. I mean, working the water lines.
They were out today on Sandy Ridge.
Sandy Ridge? That's
And
the
they go
reason I
out, I
didn't
was
see 'em.
out Sunday, but,
Do you
Yeah,
have
they-
any upcoming projects?
yeah, we're continuously working because we've tried to pick out some areas their accountability is somewhat lacking, which draws attention to some of the funders, Coalfield Water Development. We match with local money. We've been working on Backbone for about 3.5 years, which is the old Big County Works. That's still the original. We're going up through there, and of course, we just did George's Fork. And I will like to say this, we're extremely invested in George's Fork, as we are in the county. We took over $700,000 in loan.
For the sewer.
For the sewer,
Right.
public sewer?
But they do, I mean, they do a
That's sort
tremendous
of
amount.
confusing to me. You mean the town of Clintwood don't
Town
provide
owns-
that
town-
goes to the town of Clintwood sewer
Town
treatment
has the
plant?
water, we
Right.
have the sewer.
When we
What
met
now?
with the,
Town has the water, we
Right.
have the sewer.
right,
You see, the PSA has the sewer.
Yes.
and again, that was the biggest project we'd ever done. That was a smidgen over $5 million. And
And just these two guys right here, you know, they got basically the entire county covered in water, so there's not a whole lot of
Right.
projects left to do.
really, and you're right.
It's to
Josh,
refurbish.
It's mainly
all-
rehab.
Maintenance, right.
Yeah, I know you came out and replaced my
And that's what
water.
you see the other counties and towns are doing, it's just like the old Big County stuff, it's 30-plus years, and just like what your line was.
Yeah, you replaced my line and that allowed me to get fire hydrants.
There you go.
And that's why Baker Ridge is wanting fire hydrants, because they live out
Chairman,
there.
The last thing that if I can comment, please, is if the town is sincerely interested in doing those projects,
They're gonna have
they need to
wait.
do some RFPs. They need to do some budgets. They need to work up the cost. We worked up dozens and dozens and dozens of projects with Ron and Lehman. I mean, how many? Hundreds?
Hundreds.
Probably, and with Ms. Shelby.
Dozens.
And so I was there and I see it, I know how it's done. You just can't say, come on, I'm gonna build Baker's Ridge. Well, that's good, and I hope they do.
Yeah,
They may
it
need
needs it.
service. But you need to know what is the total project cost of the Baker's Ridge. You need to know what is the total cost of which other?
Flemingtown,
Flemingtown. And was there a third?
Woodpin.
Wolfpit.
Wolfton. The town needs to develop all of those projects by engineering cost, projected cost of, projected cost to see exactly how much those projects will cost them to do. And they need to look at their revenues and sources where they can procure that. My best guess is, just knowing, and Ron is probably the better expert, is that he probably knows a good idea of how much it's gonna take to do those projects. It's not gonna be touched by $54,000 or $100,000. That will not, that'll be a drop in the bucket, to use a sort of an analogy here. It's just a drop in the bucket of what these projects are gonna cost. If the town is serious about water projects, then show us how serious you are, what I'm saying as a private citizen, to tell us exactly what these projects are gonna cost you to do from start to finish, from engineering, to right-of-way acquisition, to buying the pipes, to do the installation and the contracts and delivering the services to the citizens. I've seen it done so many times with Ron. He is good at it and made it look routine, but it wasn't routine. They did all kinds of things to get water where it needs to go.
Keith Hollow.
Yeah.
And so I know how well they do, but, you know, I know this board doesn't in any way want to be anti-town, and I don't think they are, or anti-mayor, or or
No.
any way anti-board down there. This is a hard issue for this board to give up their funds to do a project that we don't know that will ever be finished or started, because we don't know what the costs are gonna be.
I know you're speculating, but why do you think they have not done this?
Money?
They don't want to raise people's rates?
No,
Yes.
he does.
I think that's a double-edged sword. It is certainly a rate, I'm sure, a rate issue, but you, as Mr. Phillips said, you have to get your cost. And I will say this, I think that they have done some RFPs on some of these areas. I haven't had the liberty to see them, but I think we had done some RFPs on Baker Ridge when we were looking at it, and I think they have extended that as well. I know there's some work done by Lane Group for the town. I can't tell you because I've never seen it, exactly what systems they are, but, the key is like you say, you have to identify the cost, but doggone, you've got to identify your funders too, because the money that we're talking about in coal severance won't even get you started. Like I said, it'd probably do a great PER.
Well, I don't understand why they are pushing for this if it's not gonna help them any.
Well, I know Ron's concerned and he's doing the right thing, but this is a little bit premature because it's not even, I mean, it's not even made it to our agenda, frankly. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we're not.
And I agree, but I just,
No, I know, you're doing
I
preemptive
wanted to
action.
be in on the discussion, because I have a
Absolutely.
passion for this particular subject, because, in 19, I felt like, that was certainly a neighborly thing to do. But I would like to be in on the ground floor of it, and, because I think that's part of
Well,
it.
everybody
is the-
appreciates everything you've done, Ron.
Absolutely, and this is the first
I
time
know
we've
that,
discussed it
and I
as a board.
appreciate y'all have all been great. I think our PSA and our past boards and present boards, we've never had any kind of, it's just been smooth sailing. And we've got a great PSA board, and Shelby will tell you often that she really brags on our organization as being one of the better ones she serves in.
It is, I
You've got
enjoy
great
it.
men down there.
In fact, Mr. Chairman, well, I promise I'll shut up after this, but be quiet. The PSA of Dickinson County has been modeled throughout the nation from what work that Ron and I and Lehman did. They take what Dickinson County was, they tell the story all over the country of communities and counties and cities and towns and how to build water systems. And they use Ron and Lehman and what the PSA and Ms. Shelby was able to do over the years. They hold this up as the key model for communities to get water and sewer in their communities. And so that's how well.
And my daddy was on the first big county board,
Sure.
and he made it to the four-way
I didn't mean to
substation.
take so long, but I just,
Thank you, Ron.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ron.
Ron.
Go ahead, speak. Ms. Kaiser's got something wrong.
Ron, is the house that you're working with the sewer on Friday, as you're going up through or traveling south?
Howard.
Yes, okay.
I cannot
Yeah.
remember the first name, but you know. it's
Yeah, I know who it is.
across the
I know
little
who it is, up on the hill on the left, across that little wooden bridge.
And
Yeah.
if you want, we haven't solidified the time, but if you want me to notify you to come up, we'd love to have you.
Okay, he seen me out in Food City in Coburn here a few weeks ago, and I had forgot all about it. You know, when somebody catches you out in the off place, you forget. But I'm glad that that's happening, because he was,
Worked out great.
yes. Well, he approached me to approach the project in Trammell, if that would work. And Anna Mead directed,
And the two I'm working with.
yeah, and she directed that, that they could be other funds for that. And I know your comment is directed on this coal and gas severance funding for the town, but in campaigning in 2019, Ailey Road, on the backside of Ailey Road and some of those places is having, either don't have water or have water issues, but I run into several people needing water.
On the flip side, one off the hill.
Yes, going down the backside towards,
See, we-
Lick Creek Road.
we quit the hatchet.
Hatchet.
Yeah, yeah, and there's people, with water issues down and under there.
Now, a lot of them
So-
over in there's got Buchanan County too, don't they?
Not there.
On Alley.
Not on Alley, they do on,
Okay, we're still in the public comment portion. I'll keep that open.
Update the board on.
Toby, do you want to wait until we do you're on 17, or do you want to go
That's
now?
entirely up to you. That's fine.
Okay, well, let's get through this public comment piece, unless you want, and we may.
No, go ahead, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I was gonna say I'll get you out of here quicker maybe. But I'm gonna read this phone number one more time, 276-333-0357. I'll keep this open another moment or so for a public comment if anybody wants to call in. Whatever you wanna do, Toby.
No, go
Okay.
ahead.
we could just take him if you want to, so.
Well, that's
he
what
can
I'm
leave.
probably gonna move him to next. And
Okay.
let him get out of here.
Okay.
Yeah, because we moved 13 to closed session, we deleted 14, and we would just put him up there
Just put him
before
up there.
those resolutions and stuff.
Be good that way we can get him.
Yeah, I'm gonna let him go home. Adam, do we have any calls?
We had none on hold while Ron was talking either.
No one called in.
Is everybody okay moving on for public comment, or you want to leave it
Yes,
open? if I'm
that'd be
good?
I
fine.
make a motion, we close public
Is there
comment.
a second?
I'll second it.
Ron, do you hear all that?
Yes, I'm
Okay,
good.
just making sure, okay. All those in favor of closing public comment, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. I'm
Aye.
gonna modify the agenda, and I'm gonna move item 17 up to item 13, and allow Mr. Edwards here the floor if he wants to go over the manpower agreement, and then I'll let Ron speak on that, and Mr. Phillips if they want to. Go ahead, Toby.
Just really brief on the, again, I'm Toby Edwards with the Cumberland Plateau Regional Waste Authority. Just really brief on the manpower agreement. It's basically an agreement between the county and the waste authority for labor at the facilities. Basically, we take care of everything at the facility, the counties provide labor. And the reason we did that, many years ago, the waste authority had labor, and it just became cheaper for the local localities to have employees because they have a bigger pool for insurance and so on. And it's basically an agreement that details the county will provide us labor, and that's the 3 employees down there, and the waste authority will take care of the equipment, supplies, lights, bills, everything else.
Toby, does the other counties have the 3 employees at the,
We do. Actually, in Buchanan County, we have 4 that are certified operators. 2 are on site continually. We have 1 on call in the case of one of those has to be off for sickness or some personal reason. We also have a probationer there signed, doing cleanup, tire cutting, and so on. But we have 4 there that's certified. In Russell County, we have 3 certified. Now, we just recently got the 3rd certified, so we have 3 people there certified.
so, I mean, you say they're certified, but do they stay at the transfer? Like, we have 3 that stays there constantly. Does Russell County stay
Russell
there?
has,
Because one of them has an office, and I can't understand
that's,
if they have an
that's Brian.
office,
Yes, the one at,
how do they stay there at the transfer station?
well, Brian comes down in the event that one of them needs to be off. And he's in charge of their convenience sites. And so he's more flexible, but he's out working the convenience sites. So he's not there all the time, if that answers your question.
So then you just got
They have
2 at Russell County?
Yeah, but they're looking at hiring another person. 2 people can't do it. And I haven't pressed them on getting a 3rd person. I'm not pressing any county.
Okay,
But now, they're seeing after a few years of having the service back, they used to contract theirs out to an company. And they're starting to see that they're gonna have to have 3 people. It's too much for 2 people.
well, if Russell like has 2, we have 3, and sometimes we need that person. Now, I haven't talked to Ron about this, this is me. Sometimes we need one of those up
And
to
you
the,
utilize them up at the truck shop
but
to
we don't
drive.
do that because our contract says keep 3 there at all times.
But we've had a partnership over the last 30 years or 29 years that anytime they need one of the guys, either Michael, the
Scott
new one,
does the truck
or
a lot,
Scott,
don't
they go on the truck.
Okay,
So, I mean, there's no hostility between the waste or the transfer station and up at the
okay,
truck.
Happens
that,
a lot,
that
though.
answers
We
the
try to help
question
each
for
other
me.
out,
All
Shelby.
right, thank you.
That's what we're here all to help.
That happens a lot.
It does.
I mean, couple times a month, Scott will be on the back of a trash truck.
Or Michael will be
Yeah.
driving, so,
That's a good question, though, Shelley.
yeah, it is. With that, I mean, Bud, do you have anything else on the user agreement? The Waste Authority met last night, and they voted on the user agreement, which Bud will be working with the county administrator and the board for your next board meeting. But the manpower agreement that's before you tonight is basically an agreement that you're going to provide labor. And nothing's changed from last year. You all approved it last year, and it's the same document, just different year on it.
Mr. Chairman, I've had a chance to review it in terms of form and legality. It's acceptable as drafted, Mr. Chairman, and ready for the board's consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. Ron, do you have anything to
Mr.
add?
Chairman?
Yes, go ahead.
No, I'm good with it. I'm good with it. That's all I was gonna say.
Ms. Kaiser, do you have anything?
No.
Anybody make any motions?
I make a motion that we approve the agreement with Cumberland Plateau Regional Waste Management Authority Manpower Service at the transfer station.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well.
I got one question
Thank you,
for
Mr.
you.
I got a question, John.
Ms. Sluss beat you to it, Ron. She'll go first, and then you can go,
I know
okay?
it's not
sorry.
pertaining to this user agreement, but I know Buchanan County is instituted a $10 fee on their garbage. How's that going?
It was a nightmare the way they rolled it out.
Well, I
decided
think
not to
that
do- not to
the
collect
initial
it.
rollout of backdating was
sent
not a
everybody a
very
$60
well
bill.
thought out plan, and
$130
I don't think that was their intent. The
Mm-hmm.
Board of Supervisors, I don't think that, they wanted to roll out $60 from the previous few months. They've done away with that.
Yeah, they did
It's
away
starting
with it.
January forward, and, so far, the public comment, hey, I paid $20. I don't wanna haul my trash in the back of my car. So, and that's
So they
something.
not charging now for garbage?
They did, they took
They
6
charge
months
at the
away.
transfer station, there's no free trash in Buchanan County. You all provide free trash if they bring it to the transfer station, citizens. If you bring it to the transfer station at Buchanan, whether you're a citizen, business, you pay for it.
But they
across
don't
the
have
scale.
garbage pickup like we do.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
have
they
door to
do.
door.
But
$10 a month.
is it $10 a month? How are they collecting that?
The Board of
Twice a year.
Supervisors had a program developed just for them, and they have a lady that she's doing the
We've
collection.
decided how we gonna do. if we
Could you
can do that.
imagine?
Well, and that's why we went over, that's one reason that we sort of went on a dead end with it. We were gonna do committees, a committee to study it,
We may have to
then
look at that
Corona
again.
hit, but then kind of I know Ron and I have talked about this a lot. Do you run in, I mean, you gotta hire a person, gotta develop software.
There's an initial investment.
Yeah, well, how much do you gain? I mean, I don't know, and then sort of Corona hit us last year and we never did follow up with it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
is it in Buchanan County, people generally pay their $10 fee?
So
They're
far,
only getting
everybody I've
brand
talked
new.
to,
They're getting it billed twice a year though, aren't they? Or
yeah, it's, you can pay for it monthly, you can pay for it quarterly, or you can go ahead and pay the $120
Oh, yeah.
and take care of the year,
People are not happy.
you know,
with that.
so.
No, they're
They're not
not
happy
happy,
about
no.
I mean, most that I've seen.
Mr. Chairman,
There's a few that's with anything. You're gonna have some that's gonna be disgruntled,
Go ahead, Ron.
but the general population,
okay. Back to the motion that was just approved, I just had a question for Bud. Since I'm on the waste authority, am I okay saying aye on this one too?
Yes, you have no conflicts.
that's right.
Okay, that's what I'm asking, so
How's the
make
tire
sure I'm
shredder
marked
doing?
on it right. And then, in reference to the trash discussion, I think we should have a committee to discuss it. But, I would also point out that no trash is free, because we're just choosing to eat it in a tax bill right now. So it's being paid for, just being paid through taxes, but when we studied this before, we struggled with how to make people accountable to pay the bill, but I'm willing to look at that again and let's see what we can do.
Ron, if you remember, I signed this committee, this was early last year, and then sort of
I
everything.
do, and I told you I wanted to be on it.
Yeah, so we'll try to get, maybe they get that going here in the next month or so.
Another idea, Mr. Chairman, I provided this with Larry, and I'll mention this, I'll plant a seed here. In Buchanan County, and I'm gonna use them as an example, they have over 300 some accounts that they bill for, trash. And that's for any business in Buchanan County. They pay for those little green dumpsters to set outside their businesses. And they have a fee structure. They pick it up either weekly or bi-weekly. Here, it's free. You know, Larry, I'm gonna lean on you about
Down
what they're
at Glenwood,
generating
they
over there on
get
trash,
paper
this whole
business
business.
Dumpster, don't you?
It's quite a bit. I don't remember the number right offhand, Toby, but I'd ask you to get some information for me, and I'll share that with the board. So.
Please share that with them. That's something else to consider. You know, when you're looking for shortfalls, you know, trash is a service just like water and sewer.
Businesses are
You know,
struggling
and
too.
for many, many years, it's not been looked upon that way. It's been looked upon that, you know, let's keep our roadsides clean, let's keep the trash from over the hills. I've cleaned up many a dump personally, and I don't want to see dumps coming back. But, you know, trash is expensive. And with that, that leads me into the next item that I have. The Waste Authority has finished their audit, and we, again, had a great audit. As you all and the other two counties provided, I'm gonna give Larry a copy of the audit. If any one of the Board of Supervisors would like a copy of that, let Larry know, I'll get you a copy. We had a good audit, and if you all remember, I came to all three counties and asked you all to let us keep that money in order to buy the tire machines. Well, we've got those, we put them in, we put sheds in, done all the electrical work, and combined with the three counties, we have around $2,000-some left over. And I was wondering, can we keep that, because we do have a little shortfall right now. Roughly it'd be $900-some per county. And
Ron, you want to speak on that?
Yeah, I would recommend we go ahead and do that. Because we are gonna, down the road, we're gonna have some huge expenses coming in the Waste Authority.
yeah,
You need a motion to let him keep it?
Yes.
I make a motion to allow them to keep the leftover funding.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Is there any questions or further discussion? You said it was about $2,000 for Dickinson
yeah, a
County?
little over 2,000.
For
Roughly
Dickens,
900
for
$900.
Dickinson County or 900?
900
Oh.
per county,
Okay.
it'd add up to around two.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. All right. Any further questions or discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye as well.
Aye.
Last but not least, I'm gonna pass around to you a copy of our budget. As many of you may or may not know,
I'll hand them out for you.
thank you, sir.
Yep.
As many of you may be aware of, in our articles of incorporation, which were completed last year, and Bud and the other two county attorneys, God bless you, Jim's had a lot of meetings and a lot of discussions, and we got that thing hashed out, it's approved, and in that, I'm obligated, and the Waste Authority's obligated to each March to come to each board, all three boards, provide you with a copy of our new budget, and discuss that with you all. Last night at our Waste Authority board, the board voted 6 yea and 0 nay to approve the budget that you have in front of you. And I want to point out a few things for you. Our funding is pretty much the same as last year. Last year, the Waste Authority wanted to do its part and help the counties. We cut our budget by about $20,000. So each county got a little decrease in the amount of their tipping fee. Well, over this past year, we've seen a rise in the cost of our equipment. If you look on the line item, on the left, it says loader equipment and equipment maintenance. It's about halfway down on the budget. The first column is what we've actually spent to date. And as you can see, we only budgeted $16,500 for each county.
23.
I've already spent $21,173 on the loaders down at Dickinson County, 23,000 for Russell. I've got a loader right now that's down at Dickinson. I'm hoping, because it's a recall on an EGR valve, that it's going to be covered under the recall. I've got my fingers crossed. But we have until June to make it. As you can see, I've got oil changes, which I may limit just to cut cost. So at last night's board meeting, the board went through line by line, and as you can see, I even highlighted for you if it was the same as last year or an increase. The two major items that are an increase is our audit went up this year and also this loader maintenance.
I can't read that. What, it up 7,000?
It did.
7,000, what does that say?
We used to get a discount because we were with the Waste Authority or the Planning District. And since he's doing ours on our own, he's increased it a little
Who
bit.
did?
Boston Kentucker's the one that does our audits, the one that's done for 28 years or 29 years.
It went up to 7,000,
$7,200.
7,200. Okay.
Hey, Toby,
Yes, sir.
just as a reminder, I think we also went up in insurance costs too, didn't we?
That's true. Everybody's insurance is going up. Good, thank you, Ron, for pointing that out. Everybody's insurance is going up right now, and that is another line item. But to give you an idea, what we've voted on and proposing to all three of our counties, in order to cover the cost of our loader maintenance, it would be a 1,200 or, where's my paper at?
So you increase it 7,000.
It would be an increase of $1,241 per month for each three county in order to take care of our maintenance. With that in mind, that cost that we're going up to 23,000 will be cut next year. And I'll tell you why. We will be buying 3 new loaders. We'll be rotating out our stock. We budgeted for our 3 transfer stations to have equipment. We pay those off, those 3 off next January, and we will rotate those out and cut our maintenance cost in half, or maybe more. So this is just a 1-year fluke. For the next 5 years, once I get these loaders, we will have warranties on them. So it's a trend that I've been here 17 years, and it's a trend at the end of the life cycle of a loader, we start seeing maintenance go up. It's with any large equipment company or anything. They deal the same thing. At the end of the life of the loader, maintenance starts creeping up, and that's where we're at right now. And I'm catching it on before it gets worse. There's no sense in paying, this kind of money on a piece of equipment that we're gonna get rid of. But we've got 1 more year to make it in order to get out of that, because I sure don't wanna come and ask for money for a new loader. Not in the hard times that we're experiencing right now. But with that in mind, those are the major changes. Again, like I said, it would be a $1,241.39 increase per month for each 3 counties. The Waste Authority Board, and Ron, if you want to elaborate on it. One other thing. Included in this budget is getting a shear for the for Dickinson and Russell. That way, everybody has the same equipment. Buchanan has a shear. That's what they wanted this year because they had a tire machine.
Yeah.
So they got a
that,
shear.
yeah.
The only piece that needs to be bought is a shear for Russell and Dickinson. It's included in this budget. So I wanted to point that out. Ron, if you got anything that you would like to add.
Well, the one thing I was gonna talk to was the sheriff, and this is the next piece of equipment we need to be able to take care of all tires here in the county. If I said that wrong, correct me, Toby, but we're
You're
gonna have to
exactly
take
right.
this leap because because it's totally unreliable to use this previous service at this point anymore that we were using in West Virginia Tire. So we're gonna have to move forward and be able to take care of ourselves.
So your budget went up $26,000,
Roughly.
$27,000.
Why'd the VACO insurance go up so much?
I think all counties that participate in VACO are gonna see that increase.
$4,000.
If you look at the current expenditures, Josh, it's 17,568 this current year, so something must
And
happen
they
this
had
current
only
year over
budgeted
budget.
14.
But while you're looking over that, I want to brag a little bit on our three counties and the Waste Authority a little bit. The tire issue that we all addressed has been very good. We've still got some road bumps to get through, but everything like that is with learning and with something new. But I got a very good phone call this past week. Our neighboring county, Washington County, called me and said, "Hey, Tobe, can I come over? I want to buy a tire machine. We're having problems just like you all are having. We can't get rid of our tires either." And so I think as we go down the road, I think more counties are going to start looking at the tire machines just like we're doing. They're facing the same problems, and I
Come
think they'll
over,
start.
we'd charge them for it. Why don't you tell them, come on over and we'll charge them for it?
Well, they want to do it themselves, you know, they want to make money too, and,
Yeah, so do we.
and be able to take care of their problem. But, anyway, that's a good success for our, you know, our region, that, they're looking at us for a problem and seeing how we managed it and how we solved it, and they're wanting to do it now. Next year, the Waste Authority will be negotiating a new contract for its waste disposal and transportation. We'll be putting out an RFP and bringing that to the three counties. The other counties for the past 29 years has waited. Washington County, Scott County, Smith County, they all have transfer stations just like us. They all wait till the Waste Authority does their contracts because they get a rate. Once we get a good rate, they get a good rate. And so we've always been that leader, I guess you would say. But that's something I'll finish up with. Next year, the Waste Authority will celebrate its 30th anniversary. 30 years ago today, Dickinson County had a landfill out here, and Bud can probably attest to this.
It was a nightmare.
I couldn't say it any
I
better.
remember it.
And I would imagine Bud would say, let's never go back into the landfill business.
I would kudos that.
All right. And we have one of the easiest managed systems to manage our solid waste that you can find. And I take pride that we do everything we can financially to do it the cheapest, but have the best facilities. And we do have the best facilities. Take a ride to the other counties and take a look at theirs. Our counties, for the last 17 years, have gotten excellent ratings by our state inspectors. We've never failed it. I take pride in that. I take pride in our employees. Without them, I can't do it alone. And without them, we wouldn't have that kind of a rating. You know, the Waste Authority has a good board now, and we've always had good boards in the past. And I can't say kudos enough that the Waste Authority is trying its very best. And Ron, you might add to this, to do what's best for our three counties and to provide a service that you all, the Board of Supervisors, don't have to worry about solid waste anymore, about managing a landfill or permits and all the other things that come along with it. Our counties don't have to worry about it. Talk to our neighbor in Wise County or Tazewell County. See what kind of hole they're in with their landfills. I'm glad our three counties are not in that situation. With that,
I just
That's
hope
all I
how
re-
soon we can recycle again.
I get that
Shelby,
question
you
all the
know
time.
me, and I have promoted recycling for 17 years. That was why I was originally hired.
Yeah.
It's hard right now.
I
The
know.
markets
It's not
are
cost effective,
horrible. You know, metal is coming up a little bit right now, but paper and plastic, I'm thinking maybe 5 years or so.
I know, it just kills me to throw it
I
in the
know, honey, it does
garbage.
me, it breaks my heart.
It does me.
It
It breaks
broke my heart to move these trailers out.
Yeah.
But, you know, right now, it's just not financially.
How long you been
feasible.
working, Toby? You've been at this a long
Oh,
time.
Lord, honey, with the
'Cause I
Waste
remember
Authority,
way back
17 years.
there,
I worked with
our budget.
the Soil and Water District for about 4 years,
Yeah,
and then
that's where
went to
I met you.
TVA and worked for them. I guess I was with them for 3 years before I came here, but I've been here 17 years.
I think it looks,
Don't seem
the
like it's been
county
that
looks
long.
100% better than what it did when we had no landfill.
We have
They
worked
picked
the
up
butts
trash
off.
today. Did you notice as you come down County Ridge? The sheriff's litter control, however it was, picked up trash today. I think it looks so much better. Get rid of them old
We have a
dumpsters.
beautiful region.
We
You know,
do.
and Dixon County, Buchanan County, Russell County, it's all my home. I grew up in Dickinson County, I went to school in Buchanan County, and hung out in Russell, you know, all my life. When I come back from college, you know, my wife, my late wife, wanted to move back to Abingdon, and you know, what mama wants, dad's gonna do. And so that's where we settled at, but I spend more time in our 3 counties than I ever do. I'm a bedroom sleeper over there.
Looks 100% better.
But we've worked hard, our counties have worked hard, our board of supervisors for the last 17 years have worked really hard at cleaning our region up, and I hope that continues into the future.
Mr. Chairman, if I might. Mr. Chairman, while you had me working on the school project,
Hey, Toby, this is Ron.
All
You did a
right,
great
We
job.
know,
You
Ron.
briefed it
We
well.
know.
You don't have
And I wanted to add one thing.
Yes,
I wanted
sir.
to add one thing on recycling for my board members and the trash fee thing that I thought I'd share with them. Back before I was even on the board of supervisors, I used to even attend the budget workshop. You know, the departmental workshops, and I'll share with you, one of our truck shop members came in and they explained how a certain business in the county, they go twice a week to, and at that time recycling was happening, and they were hauling off cardboard. 90% of it was cardboard that could have been walked across the street to the trailer.
amazing.
So it's unfortunate we can't recycle, but there is some things we need to talk about, Josh, on the trash fee stuff and that.
Yeah, I agree. We'll try to get that going, Ron. Try to get Liza better first, obviously.
And Ron's been right under the hill with us cleaning up trash.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, one of the things that you had me working on last year, it seemed like 4 or 5 hours a day, was the school issue. But in what spare time I had, you instructed me to work with the authority to bring back to you some transparency on the waste authority. One of the things, and I commend the director obviously, and the board for working with the 3 counties, Wise, Dickinson, and Russell. This is the first time that you've ever had a itemized budget.
Yeah, Dickinson, Buchanan.
It's the first time you've had that in front of you. And I think that's a good thing, and I commend the director for wanting and agreeing to do that. And so this helps, I think it's very helpful
Sure is.
to this board.
Anything you all need, Bud, you or any of the board, most all of you's got my cell phone, call me, it don't matter.
And the second thing that we did, and there was lots of meetings, Toby was correct. We had, you get 3 counties together, and you're working on a project, and then you add an authority to it. I don't know how many drafts, Toby, that we went through on the user agreement to
If
finally
they
get
wasn't
it.
10, I don't know how many.
It was a lot. And so you had me working on that project as well, and so you have a user agreement coming to you next month that is radically improved over past in terms of clarity and transparency. And so that it was a lot of hard work and a lot of long meetings and a lot of negotiation, but the authority and Toby all cooperated to get where we are. So you'll see that next month.
And to add to that, another thing that I've tried to provide to all 3 of our localities, to the Board of Supervisors that is a copy of our user manual for board of directors. You have in there contracts, all of our permits, any relevant document should be in that binder. And I got Larry a copy just the other day, and if you go through that, when you get free time, if you know what that means.
I know what that means.
That'd be some good reading for you, and if you ever have any questions, Larry, I'll be right here.
And I appreciate it. You always are. I appreciate that.
But thank you all.
Thank you, Toby.
Thank you,
If
Toby.
y'all ever need anything at all, always call me. You pay a third of me, so I'm a third of Dixon County. So, thank you all.
Thank you.
Y'all have a great evening.
You
All
too.
right, thank you, Toby.
Yeah,
Be
be careful
careful
going
going
home.
home, Toby.
Be safe, Toby.
All right, thank you, Ron. Hope your wife gets better.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you all.
See ya.
All right, we'll try to move along here a little bit. Go on to item number 15, deeds. Mr. Phillips, you want to elaborate a little bit on what we got going on here?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, what we have is a deed for you to approve and accept. Apparently, the town was doing some surveying and found that part of your library may be located on a tract that they own. And so they prepared a deed to submit ownership of that to the county. And so with the acceptance of this deed, then you will own the library. And so I would recommend that you approve the deed in its form, as it is form and content, Mr. Chairman.
We went on the library, did you say?
You will now. It's like the Clinchco thing. Everybody thought we owned the Clinchco
Senior
property.
citizens?
Senior Citizens Bill, and come to find out the research, we found that we didn't own it, but we do own it now.
So this part here is sitting on what?
It's sitting on town property.
was
Part of it
sitting
is.
On
Part of it.
town property, so now we're gonna, this is a deed.
Well, we take care of it anyway.
I make a motion that we accept this quitclaim deed from the town, that, for the library.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion from anybody? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well.
Bye.
And then item B, Mr. Phillips.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Last month, you approved a deed going from the Dickinson County Board of Supervisors to the IDA for the old social service property. When I went out to the site, we went out there several weeks ago and looked at it, and I saw the deed and I saw the property. I discovered that the entire property was not deeded to that part of the property was left out from the original deed that was prepared. So now you have a second deed to get all the property, the two different tracts. There's two tracts out there, and this makes sure that tract does go over to the Industrial Development Authority. And my understanding is the Industrial Development Authority is now moving forward with a sales agreement for that property. And that should be concluded, we think, probably in the next, I suspect, Larry, 10 days, so.
It will be, yes.
And so you have
Yeah,
a
I
new
did
owner, a
approve that last
new industrial prospect
We
out
don't
there, a
advertise
new
that.
business.
That's some job, that's more jobs. How many
is.
more jobs are they projecting?
About a dozen, they said.
Yeah, they're gonna double their staff over the next couple of years, so, I wanna say around 20 jobs.
Everything helps.
And it takes a non-revenue generating property into a revenue generating property, so that's.
As your attorney, I like that, Mr. Chairman.
I do too.
How did,
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we accept this quitclaim deed to social services and to the IDA, that we
I'll second that.
Any further
give it to the
discussion?
IDA.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well.
Bye.
Item 16, I guess, Mr. Phillips, I'll continue to allow you to have the floor, resolution regarding the Coalfield Expressway.
Mr. Chairman, make sure I'm correct, I think Mr. Chairman is a member of the new Coalfield Authority
Yes, sir.
and serves on that board, and there is a new push, the county, we had Ms. Teresa look up over the years of how many resolutions we've actually passed.
How many?
And Ms. Teresa, how many did we find that I drafted?
I forget how many, several you got.
There's a lot.
She gave them all, and so somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 15, I
Oh,
don't know.
my
if
goodness.
Resolutions or more that we had drafted in prior,
For the
but hopefully,
Coalfield.
the new authority that is now in existence to try to push the Coalfield Expressway At the chairman's request, this resolution is in front of you, and what it does is to lend credence to the need to build the Coalfields Expressway for economic development and the safety and security of the people of the coalfields, and try to move forward toward funding packages for this project. Now, Mr. Chairman, one of the things that can hopefully give me the liberty, I think there is going to be an infrastructure bill coming out of Congress at some point in time. There's a lot of discussion, and I suspect there's going to be some transportation money in there. And if that occurs, then I would encourage you and your authority to take this resolution and go try to find some of that money coming out of that to help on the Coalfields Expressway. I think it'd be an optimal time for your authority to move forward with this resolution.
Well, just to inform the board, the authority's had 2 meetings now since its creation, and obviously the General Assembly created the authority but didn't fund the authority. So we have, I think, approximately 21 members altogether, maybe less, maybe a little more, but no money. I do have some good news. The authority board voted unanimously to make the Red Onion Pound bypass section the #1 priority of the authority. So that's definitely good news for Dickinson County. Of course, you all know myself, Mike Yates, and Donald Baker are the Dickinson County representatives on that authority. We also voted the last meeting to have Delegate Will Moorfield to be a liaison for the authority board and certain West Virginia representatives. It's my understanding, and I've not seen it and driven on it, but a good portion of the West Virginia highway is completed, and I think they implemented that through the help of their coal operators and built the road bed and got the road in. At least that's my understanding. So one good thing we have, of course, Mr. Moorfield is getting high on the chain as far as the Appropriations Committee in the General Assembly. He's in the minority party, unfortunately. However, he is pushing this big time. And one of the big reasons, of course, he cares about all Southwest Virginia, but the Poplar Gap Park, Buchanan County is pushing that big time to get this expressway going. So it's an expensive, enormously expensive endeavor. Been going on 30 years, but the board is doing what we can do with what resources we have. So,
Mr. Chairman, just to add to what you have talked about, the allocation of the roadway from Clintwood to Pound has been selected by VDOT. There has been hearings in the past to get citizen interest and participation in that link. So I know the corridor for the Pound to Clintwood has been selected, and I've seen the maps that are available.
yes.
And the hearings, public hearings have been held in Clintwood and around over the years to get citizen input on that. And it would be, I'm glad you all took that action, because that's something that Delegate Jackie Stump and I had a great passion for while we were there. And I hope you much success, Mr. Chairman.
I appreciate it. It's just keep digging in.
Yep.
And we're swinging.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Peters.
I would also mention that the Cumberland Plateau has done a similar resolution. We did one recently as well, so this is a good thing.
Are there any motions?
I'll make a motion that we pass this resolution in support of the Coalfields Expressway.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Mr. Phillips, once again,
Probably
Southwest Virginia Regional
County
Jail Board.
Administrator might be in the best position on that per diem
Probably.
payment.
We just had a meeting on this, last month, I think.
We did,
Well,
it's last
a couple
month,
weeks ago.
and, you know, Mr. Evans, you and Sheriff Fleming, I think we were all involved in this meeting, and, basically what we are looking at is, there is a House budget amendment and a Senate budget amendment, that's looking at increasing the, per diem payments to the regional jails, 18.75%, in the Consumer Price Index. And also, there's similar amendments out there to increase the starting pay and implement a career progression program for deputy sheriffs and regional jail officers. And so it was recommended that, we draft a resolution here in support of those two budget amendments, because that would help us as far as in costs that we have to contribute towards the regional jail. If the state picked up more of those costs, that would be less burden on the county. So Mr. Phillips has been so gracious to draft this for us and
Which that
review it.
increased, wasn't that the thing we had about that increase in the jail, the regional jail down here, the cost to run it increased so greatly. So is this in committee or?
It's in the budget amendment in front of the General Assembly. The proposed budget amendment. And so the budget has not been finalized. It should be finalized probably in the next, I'm hopeful, the next 10 days.
You just had the crossover, I guess.
Actually, the crossover, and they're in conference committee right now on budget, and I know they're negotiating on that. And I'll talk a little bit about that later in executive session on another matter for you. But we'll see what the final budget says, and I know you need it.
Yeah, we need that, that's true.
Is there any motions?
I make a motion that we pass this resolution also on the jail per diem.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. Trying to move along here a little bit, getting late. Other business, is there any other business, Mr. Barton, or any members?
It's gonna be
No,
our
we got
two-
that 18A on that one.
That's right, I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's on the
I
extra
defer to
sheet.
Mr. Barton, Mr.
Chip
Chairman,
meal,
to-
chip meal here.
I got it.
Okay. Mr. Chair, members of the board, item 18A is approval of the Dickinson County Board of Supervisors' use of Visita Dickinson County account funds for the purchase of the chip mill property as an industrial development site with Dickinson and Wise counties. And of course, this is something that we have previously taken up and discussed about this. The IDA had made the application to Visita in order to secure funding for some various projects. One of those was the chip mill project, and in order for them to finalize this loan, Mr. Belcher with Visita would need a letter from Dickinson County Board of Supervisors authorizing use of our account funds for the purchase of the chip mill property that's located in Dickinson and a portion of Wise County.
I make a motion that we use our money at VC as fast as we can.
Did you know they said they gave Russell County $900,000 to buy that building that's been
I
sitting
know.
over at Walmart for 25 years. Used to have a furniture, I mean, I know they made a,
It was that when they're sitting on the
Bush.
river.
Bush.
Bush,
yeah.
yeah.
That's what we had.
I mean, how do they get by? I don't understand it. You know, if I open my mouth, I get it shut right fast.
They wanted to use our money for it.
$900,000 they got for that.
70-some jobs.
Oh, they don't have a job prospect for that, do they?
Yeah, the Secretary of Commerce. I mean, the governor's
At
office.
the Bush building?
Yeah.
Well, that thing's been vacant for 25 years.
No,
They got that barrel
In the barrel thing,
thing.
isn't it?
No, I'm talking about this building next to Walmart.
I have no idea.
They got
I'm not sure.
$900,000 for that building.
Anyway.
I will second Shelby's motion on that.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, may I have a liberty to take, and I apologize for speaking, but the citizens need to know how hard this board has worked on this project, on obtaining this land, and they need to be aware of the fact that there are 3 potential economic development prospects for that site, currently ongoing. And they need to know that you just didn't do this in isolation, or you
And
just didn't.
wasting money.
Or didn't waste their money, or didn't waste the funds that you have. There are actually, and you're going to hear updates in the executive session tonight on 3 potential prospects. One is extremely strong. The other 2 are in development, and your economic development team has been working hard on that, as well as Larry, myself, the IDA, and Lehman and other folks.
You need to put that on Facebook there, Josh.
I want to see a job.
Huh?
I want to see some jobs.
Yeah, we all do.
So we have Ms. Kaiser, did you make the motion, I believe?
I made the
No, Shelby
motion, she
made the
seconded.
motion and I seconded
All right,
it.
all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well.
Aye.
All right, forgive me, so that's all the other business.
It's all the 18, yes.
And then we have, some appointments. We finally figured out, what the standards committee does, I think. So we have some clarity on that. I'll open the floor for motions for appointments to the standards committee.
Mr. Chairman, I had a call from Mary Sumner, and she's very interested in this. She's been a deputy, she's worked in dispatching. It's something that she is very familiar with. And she called and asked that I submit her name.
She said 911.
She's done 911,
Well,
yes.
she called me and she said she would like to be a part of the 911.
This is the standard committee, yeah.
Oh, she didn't mention that,
Well,
but
that's what it is.
is that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she sent me a text too.
Is there a second to Ms. Sumner's name?
Of course, I was gonna submit somebody else's name, but I didn't know that standards committee was having to do with 911, so.
What we,
Mr. Chair, if I might add, on the committee, it is with 911, and there are some issues that we're working through. The sheriff and I have been working on some issues there, and I think that looking at our three current appointees would be myself fulfilling Mr. Moore's unexpired term, Matthew Mullins, which is from the Sheriff's Department, and Stephen Powers from 911. So, whatever the appointments are, if we want to do Ms. Sumner, we probably need someone, active in 911 as well.
Peggy said somebody who.
On that, because this is collaboration with the other counties and some of the software that's being used and communication equipment. So as you think of your three choices, and I spoke with Ms. Sumner as well, and she's very interested, and she has time to serve. So
we have a motion on the floor for Ms. Sumner. Go ahead, Ron.
Well, I was just gonna say now, I wanna be sure we're picked. I think if I understand this correctly, these are people that you wanna be knowledgeable on a little bit on the systems and keeping tabs on software upgrades and all that. Am I wrong in saying that?
I think you're
Because these
correct.
radio systems get upgraded over time. That's why Matt Slump was on it, because he was there, the belly button the county pushed all the time. Then later it was Trigger stayed on there, and then we had one of the sheriff's department on it. That's my only question I have is we got to make sure we have someone that's in tune with what's going on with these communications initiatives.
She used to work for 911, she said? I'll second Miss Sumner.
We have a motion and a second for Ms. Mary Sumner to serve on the standards committee. Do a roll call vote just for the sake of being clear. Ms. Willis,
I'll vote yes for her.
Ms. Sluss.
Yes.
Ms. Kaiser,
Yes.
Mr. Peters.
I'm okay with it.
Yes for me as well, so Ms. Sumner will be appointed unanimously. The floor is now open for another appointment to the standards committee.
I had mentioned, when we had discussed this before, the possibility of putting Mike Stidham's name out.
Are you submitting his name?
Yes.
So we have Mike Stidham. I'll second Mike Stidham. Any further discussion on Mike Stidham serving on this committee? Well, do a roll call again. Ms. Willis, how do you vote on Mike Stidham?
I vote aye.
Ms. Sluss?
Aye.
Ms. Kaiser?
Aye.
Mr. Peters?
I as well.
An aye for me as well. And then I guess do we formally
Ron,
need
just
Mr.
second
Martin
my
on there, or is he
motion.
actually on there just for his, as part of his position?
Peggy, you made the motion for
Mike Stidham.
Mike,
I
and you
seconded
seconded
it,
it. Josh seconded it.
Do we need to actually appoint him, or is he on there because he's county administrator automatically?
I think we have to appoint him when
I
his
think you have
term
to
is
appoint
up.
him.
Okay.
Yeah.
We want to hear a motion from Mr. Martin.
I make a motion.
I think he was appointed.
Okay,
Right,
he's
He's
in
ma'am.
the
already
last
been
time.
previously appointed.
Well, it says his term
In
expired
December.
in
Oh, we appointed him
January.
last time, didn't we?
Oh,
Let's
yes.
go ahead and do it. It doesn't appear to be one
Yes,
of the-
because he was
term.
filling the unexpired term of
Of
Mr.
David.
David.
I make a motion that we put Mr. Larry Barton on also.
Is there a second?
I'll second him.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye as well.
I think he just finished
Aye, Rob.
David's term.
And Mr. Parliamentarian, we're moving to item 19B. As chairman, I have a name that I would like to submit for consideration to the board. I don't know if I would need to relinquish the chair to make that motion or not.
You would,
For
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Parliamentarian, I would now relinquish the chair to Ms. Kaiser, the vice chair, and I would like to submit a name for consideration, please.
That's
So,
your,
Mr. Chair, Ms. Kaiser, you're chairman, Madam Chairman, I'm gonna submit the name of Chris Baker for consideration for this board to appoint to this Recreation Authority. Mr. Baker, go to church with him, he's a really good guy. He was a employee of the Spearhead system. He knows the St. Paul system, he knows the Hayside system, he knows the Lee County system. He's very familiar, and he has some good ideas that I think would promote the Hayside Trail. So, Madam Chair, I'd like to submit his name for consideration to this board. I would nominate Chris Baker.
Okay, we have a name of Chris Baker that's been placed before the board, and Josh has made the motion. Do I hear a second for that, or any comments?
I'll make a second for the motion. I don't know him, but I'll take Josh's
I don't know
word
him.
that he is a good person
I don't
for
know
that
that I know him
position.
either, but,
So I'll
you know.
second it.
I'll see, okay.
Okay, any other comments? Ron, you have a comment?
No, I'm good. I didn't have any other names.
And I'll get his information, assuming he passes, I'll get his information to you.
Okay,
Well, there is one thing I would say, Josh. He used to work for him.
No,
No,
he
he's-
worked for he worked as the Spearhead, I don't know what the term is,
the authority.
The authority.
yeah,
I
he
know
worked for the
him.
authority, he was a ranger, I guess.
I know him.
He patrolled the trails
Yes.
and cleaned them up and, you
Yes, I know
know,
who
kinda
you're
done a
talking
little bit of
about.
everything
Yeah.
for him, didn't you, Larry?
Yeah, he
do I
did.
need to do
I know who you're
Sounds good.
talking
You'll
about.
be
I
familiar
haven't
with
met
the
him.
trail.
He's a good guy.
Okay, well, I'm fine.
So, okay, go Ms. Kaiser, I'm sorry.
Okay, we have a moving second on the floor, and do we need to do a roll call vote on that? And I'll start with Ms. Willis,
Aye.
Ms. Sluss,
Aye.
Mr. Evans,
Yes. I'm
Mr.
for me.
Peters,
Aye.
and I myself. So that passes 5-0. And I will relinquish the chair back to our chairman, Mr. Evans.
Thank you, Ms. Kaiser.
Yes.
Item 20, MOU with the, or regarding the Virginia Data Center and retail sales and use tax exemption. Mr. Phillips, would you like to?
Yes,
indicate
Mr. Chairman,
a little
thank
bit
you
on
very
that?
much. Over the last several months, I was asked to work with the Lonesome Pine Regional Industrial Facilities Authority, better known as the RIFA, that Dickinson County, Wise County, Lee County, and Scott County comprise of the RIFA region. And there is an ongoing effort by all the counties to try to attract data centers to the region. And one of the recommendations that was made was to do two things to attract data centers. These are data centers that have substantial investment and substantial wages if they come to the region. And in order to be competitive for those data centers, it is proposed by the region, this RIFA region, that we all adopt a memorandum of understanding. And so all of us, all the counties in RIFA are going to agree, if it's at your pleasure, to do two things with the memorandum of understanding. And there was a specific statute passed and legislation passed to give counties the ability to do exactly what potentially you will do tonight. This also has passed muster with your Commissioner of Revenue, Mr. Yates. And two things that we'll do. Number one, it commits all the counties that I've told you about in my comments to a certain property rate, a personal property rate of 24 cents per hundred. That will require you later to do a public hearing and adoption of a tax rate later in your meetings to adopt that rate. The second thing that your Commissioner of Revenue has done is to agree to a depreciation schedule for the data centers. In year 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, that's outlined. I had actually drafted this agreement and submitted to the RIFA folks some months ago, and there have been discussions on how to move forward with it. but all the counties are agreeable to this adoption. Anytime that you wish to elect to cancel your membership and to cancel the memorandum of understanding or to withdraw from this, you may do so at any time. But this is an effort, a regional effort, where counties are not competing with each other to get data centers. And so I know that your Red Onion site is a potential major draw for a potential data center because it has all of the facilities that you need to draw in a data center. You have water, you have sewer, you have natural gas, you have cable, not cable, but internet, fiber rather. You have power, Larry, help me if I'm.
Redundant broadband. actually,
Redundant
which is a
broadband that you're putting
requirement.
out there, and so this would help. One of the things that we're finding when we're branching out and working with other people, believe it or not, Dickinson County is probably one of the few counties that is ready on their industrial sites. Most industrial sites in other regions are either not developed or they just don't have them available. And so this is what this memorandum of understanding is, Mr.
Isn't the
Chairman.
governor putting forth a thing about to give us data centers to Southwest Virginia?
Lots of things are moving in Virginia about data centers. Most of the data centers have used up their space in other parts of the state.
In the
And-
towns and
And it's
cities.
extremely expensive to put those on the real estate in other parts of the state. And so that is one of the things that the governor and some other folks in Virginia are moving, to trying to push data centers. And there's something moving. I don't know exactly what's there, but I can tell you something's moving. Is why this memorandum is in front of you tonight. There's some folks who wanted all the counties in Southwest Virginia to adopt this because there's something moving out there that I just can't.
I read it somewhere.
Yeah, there's some things moving.
I try to talk to a couple of our legislators regularly, and one reached out to me this week, and of course, I've been reaching out to them, just begging. Of course, you all seen my emails, but there is some stuff moving, like Mr. Phillips said, on this, and they're very. I know we done a call with Will Payne a month or so
Payne,
ago,
yes.
and that guy is, for right or wrong, I like him a lot, but he's the man. The delegation down here is assigned for economic development, and they are interested in this Red Onion side, thankfully, so hopefully.
There's some decisions going to be made after this passes, the county's just some decisions. I don't know what they are, but there's some decisions supposedly, and that's why they want this to pass in all the counties.
Well, I've done everything I can do to get us in the room. We're in the room.
And
Whether or not we're gonna,
And one of the things I want to credit is Mr. Chairman is the one that has been developing this issue and asked us to help him develop this issue.
I appreciate it very much.
Thank you, John.
We've gotta be ready.
Well, I'm for, I'll make a motion that we do this data center tax MOU,
Adapt it.
adapt it.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor, please, or any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well.
I think they're very reasonable rates.
Mr. Chairman, before we go into executive session, did we all skip number 13?
We
Yeah, we
moved
had
it
deleted
to
that
executive
when we
session.
approved our agenda.
I must have been sleeping.
So do I hear a motion to go into closed meeting?
So did we get a vote on the roll call on memorandum of understanding, Mr. Chairman? I
Did we
think
need a roll call? I didn't do a
Yes, I
roll
think-
call.
yes,
Okay, I
please.
apologize. So let's reverse, Madam Clerk, if you don't mind. We'll go back to item 20, and we'll all entertain a new motion to approve that MOU, and a new second, please.
Well, I made the motion, we
Okay,
get
will
first
you renew
motion.
that motion?
And I second it.
All right, we have a motion by Ms. Sluss and a second by Ms. Willis. I'll do a roll call vote. Ms. Willis, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Sluss?
Aye.
Ms. Kaiser?
Aye.
Mr. Peters?
Aye.
And aye for me as well. Sorry about that, Mr. Phillips. All right, item 20, we have several items listed for discussion in our closed session. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
I'll make the motion that we go into closed session pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A5, A Section 2-2-2.2-3, 3711A5, Economic Development. 1, Project 500. 2, Broadband Contract. 3, Ongoing Economic Development Projects. And A12, Broadband and Internet updates.
Is there a second?
Second it. I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of going into closed
If
session?
I just might, to make a clarification on the last one, it would be broadband internet contract issues.
Contract, okay.
Yes, contract. If I could ask her to amend her motion.
Okay, I will add that to the motion, that it be a internet broadband contract update.
Ms. Slush, you second
I'll
that?
second it.
Any further discussion? Larry, does that cover everything?
It does.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye as well. We'll now come out of closed session. I have a motion for a certification of matters discussed in closed session.
I make a motion that we only discuss those issues that we previously made a motion to go into closed session for.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
I'll do a roll call vote on
Yeah.
that. Ms. Slush, or Ms. Willis, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Slush,
Yes.
Ms. Kaiser,
Yes.
Mr. Peters,
Yes.
and yes for me as well. Closed session will be certified. Are there any motions coming out of closed session?
No motions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Move on to item 24, the scheduling of a public hearing. And I think we had a supplement on that as well.
Yeah, we got B.
24B.
Is there
what
any
did I do with
motions on
mine?
that?
Well,
What
I
is,
should have it.
what is it, Mr. Chairman?
I lost my
Tax levy.
Yeah.
Set
Setting
the
a public
date for the
hearing.
tax levy.
Motion.
One is 545. What did I put mine? I think I didn't put mine in the back.
I got some new paper in it.
540.
So I guess probably what we need to do is maybe do the tax levies at 5:30 and then do the data center at 5:45. Or no, she's got 5:40 for the data center and then 5:45 on the levies. So do we hear them? I guess we'll need to do two separate motions on this. One for the data center tax exemption public hearing and one for the tax levy public hearing.
I recommend that, Mr. Chairman.
What time do you want to have the first one?
The data use tax exemption, suggested at 5:40 PM.
I
on
make
March
a motion
23rd.
that we schedule that one for 5:40.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Ayes well.
And I make a motion that we do the tax levy at 5:45.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes well.
Aye.
So we'll have the data use exemption public hearing at 5:40, the tax levy public hearing at 5:45, and then we'll have a regular meeting at 6 on March 23rd.
We probably don't have any questions about the
Move on to
data
item
center.
25, supervisor comments. Ms. Wilson, start with you if that's okay.
I'm excited as to all of the things that are going on in our county right now.
Ms. Slush.
I'm like Shelby, I'm very excited about the prospects for our county. Stay tuned.
Ms. Kaiser.
I guess I can echo that too. And seem like we've had some good thoughts, some moving forward and working together.
Mr. Peters.
Great news, and I would really want to give a hand for Larry and Bud, because I know they've been working extremely hard
Yes, they
behind
have.
the scenes on all this.
Yes.
Absolutely, and I want to,
And
go ahead.
may I
Yeah,
say
go
something?
ahead.
I appreciate Larry keeping us well informed on some things that's going on, and I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
And you don't seem to be in any hurry to rush us to when you're talking to us. I appreciate that.
Got
Yeah,
enough time
me
as you
too.
need.
Well, it's been a long night. Nobody thanks us, so I'm gonna thank each of you all for being here, and Ron for a long night.
Yeah, Bruce probably done in the bed.
We take the brunt of all the criticism and don't get any of the credit, but I'm gonna give each of y'all credit for being here till almost
10:30.
11 o'clock
Yeah.
tonight. And, we're all working very hard for Dickinson County. Echo, what other members have said about our staff. I couldn't be more proud of the team that we have with Larry and Bud and Mitzi's, doing really well on some potential prospects. So, and Adam, thank you. I know he has a young, school-age children like me, so it's tough being here late. Thanks Scotty and Jeremy for being here with us late. We got some stuff cooking, and I hope that we can see it come to fruition. But, thank you all for working hard for Dixon County. And Teresa, I know you was here late for you as well, so. Tried to move the agenda. I felt like we flowed pretty good. We had a lot going on, which is good. So, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Is there a second?
I'll second
Well,
it.
y'all just sit there. All right.
I second it.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
What time is breakfast?
All right.
Thank you for-
We never get